Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit education or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. This video was made for entertainment purposes and is transformative in nature.
Situation that could have ended much worse. An armed man in Pittsburgh held police at bay for hours after being served an eviction notice. Trevor Ault is on the scene for us there. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, Robin. And you can see the remnants of this shootout behind me. Authorities say this is the house where the suspect was inside, firing in those repeated extended bursts. Almost every window was shot out, and there are too many bullet holes to count, as this neighborhood was on lockdown for essentially the entire day.
A 6-hour standoff brought this Pittsburgh neighborhood to a terrifying halt Wednesday.
We have multiple shots fired.
Hundreds of shots fired between authorities and a suspect now identified as 63-year-old William Hardison after sheriff's deputies attempted to serve an eviction notice. Investigators say Hardison never responded to their attempts to communicate. Instead, he fired bullets in repeated extended bursts from the first and second floor of the home, firing repeatedly at officers, even shooting down police drones. A SWAT team soon arriving, pulling out neighbors in the crossfire, the gunman's son speaking to ABC affiliate WTAE, pleading with his father to surrender.
Please give up. You have children and grandchildren. I love you dearly. Please stand down.
Late into the afternoon, the sheriff announcing Hardison had died inside the home.
And the sheriff tells me they did have reason to believe this could be a particularly challenging eviction. They even brought 7 deputies here yesterday to execute it, which is far more than usual. But he stressed they had no idea that what transpired would actually happen. And miraculously, though, we do have to note in those hundreds of bullets, no bystanders were wounded. Rebecca?
Thank goodness for that. Okay, Trevor Ault. Thank you, Trevor.
You feel, however, that we're making progress in this country and worldwide?
No. I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. You pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that the blow made. And they haven't even begun to pull the knife out, much less try and heal the wound. They won't even admit the knife is there. You haven't.
Hey, John, what do you want us to take away from this extraordinary series of yours?
Well, I want people who are not Latin to have Latin envy and wish they had been born Latin, and for Latin people to realize, damn, being Latin is a superpower, man. I mean, the things that we've suffered in this country, 500 years, our wealth was stolen from us. We were lynched. We were burned, shot alive. We've been the only American citizens that have ever been deported by the millions. And yet we contribute and we build and we thrive.
To me, if you have been here for 5 years and you do not have a criminal record, you will be able to go on the dignity status for 7 years.
That status is like a probation period.
You will not be deported. You will not lose your assets. You can work anywhere in the country. You will pay taxes.
And there would be an additional tax.
A new levy of 1.5 withholding called the dignity levy will be held from your paycheck. You will not have access to any government program and will have to buy your own health insurance.
And another charge.
You will pay $700 a year for 7 years, and that adds up to around $5,000. Those $5,000 will represent around $45 billion.
This is provided that the undocumented immigrants total 10 million. But there are more.
And that fund will go to pay for border security. The other bucket of money, the 1.5, will go to re-educate or retrain any American who believes that he or she has lost his opportunity, his job opportunity, to an undocumented.
Some of the other legislators who support the bill said they are aware that it is not perfect. They said it's better than doing nothing.
Various groups, feminist, gay rights groups, and those who are defending immigrants have commandeered the black civil rights experience.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that because I think it's one of the most important points of the book. I mean, I think the way liberals have treated blacks like children and many of their policies have been harmful to blacks. At least they got the beneficiary group right. We do have to, I mean, we shouldn't. There is the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow laws. We don't owe the homeless. We don't owe feminists. We don't owe women who are desirous of having abortions, but that's, or gays who want to get married to one another. That's what civil rights has become for much of the left. They dropped the blacks after 5 minutes.
Immigrant rights are not civil rights?
No, I think civil rights are for blacks. We done to the immigrants. We owe black people something. We have a legacy of slavery. Immigrants haven't even been in this country. After dropping the blacks and moving on to the Hispanics because they're a larger group of Hispanics now. But could I just say to Jorge, I hate to disagree with you when you're attacking President Obama, but I think the point on immigration is you can have open borders or you can have a welfare state. You cannot have both.
Doing a great job with heart these days.
You late again, Eddie.
Trying to do. You ain't gonna do it. See, Big Red done pulled my coattail to you a long, long time ago.
That's bullshit, Eddie. You talking crazy.
Crazy like a mother fox. And you. I can see through your jive ass like glass, nigga. Eddie, you got it all wrong, Stealing my moves. My style, nigga, even trying to riff like me.
Hey, man, why don't you get your boy out of here and detox him?
You on my spot, Flash? Slum-dwelling, scum-sucking, slug-ass motherfucker. You on my spot, Flash? Huh? Well, you ain't gonna get it, cause you ain't got it.
He's the kind of boy seems innocent, Boogie. Got everybody on the post thinking he's a strong black buck. White boys envy his strength, his speed, power in his swing. Then this colored champion lets those same white boys call him Shine or Sambo.
Whoa, Lord.
And he just smiles.
Dream about the time when I was a little boy.
Can't talk. Can barely read or write his own name. And don't care. He'd tell you they like him. Or that colored folks ain't supposed to have but so much sense.
Yes, he would.
You know the damage one ignorant Negro can do. We were in France in the First War. We'd won decorations. But the white boys had told all them French gals that we had tails. Then they found this ignorant colored soldier. Paid him to tie a tail to his ass and run around half naked making monkey sounds. They put him on a big round table in the Cafe Napoleon. Put a reed in his hand. Crown on his head, blanket on his shoulders, and made him eat bananas in front of all them Frenchies. Oh, the white boys danced that night. Passed out leaflets with that boy's picture on it. Called him Moonshine, king of the monkeys. And when we slit his throat, you know that fool asked us what he had done wrong. My daddy told me we got to turn our backs on his kind, Wilkie. Close our ranks to the chitlins, to collard greens, to cornbread style. We are men, soldiers. And I don't intend for our race to be cheated out of its place of honor and respect in this war because of fools like CJ. You watch everything he does. Everything.
You said your people have been fighting for 400 years.
Man, your peoples too.
So I just want you to explain what you mean by that.
You know what I'm talking about. Y'all all know what I'm talking about, man. Don't sit up here and try to bait and not know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what the I talk about when I say these things. Your people too.
Explain it. Not everybody knows what you're talking about.
Radio Raheem, I don't have to explain what's understood, man. You know what I mean by that. You know what I said by that. I ain't got to go further. And if anybody don't understand that, then God be with them. Go look up the history. Go look up the history. Don't everybody believe in Google? Go Google that. See what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, man. You know what. I dare you to sit up there and say, explain. You know what I'm talking about, man. He's fighting people. You know we've been fighting 400 and still fighting to this day. To this day. To this day. You just sit here, you don't know.
And since the American white man has used his control over the press, rewrite history or retell history, and since the white man can't dispute this truth, it's not hate to say that we were kidnapped and brought here, it's truth. It's not hate to say that we were Jim Crow, discriminated and segregated, it's truth. It's not hate to say that the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in this country, came up with a hypocritical desegregation decision 9 years ago, which they haven't enforced yet. That's not hate, that's truth.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. I am your host, the ideologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and this is We Up Report. First and foremost, I want to say what's good to everybody that's in the house. What's good, everybody? But before we get into all of that, we must always give to those who are contributions and give to this show. We had to give our hats and congratulations once again to this brother here, the incomparable, the always on time, that one who comes through each and every time. We call him Mr. Spencer 0620. Me and my family prostrate to you, thankful for what you do. Once again, We Up Report, thank you for your donation contribution to this show. Once again, Mr. Spence 0620. Now again, some of you might have came over here, clicked on the show due to the thumbnail, title of the show. Again, this is We Up Report. I'm your host, Mr. Blow Your Mind. We always got a grand opening, happen to go down the aisle, happen to see something to make you feel some kind of way. Remember, the motto of my show is the truth. Don't need no partner. You know what my motto of my show is? I done already told you. So anyway, just in case you came over here and you clicked on the thumbnail, what's your show for today, Mr. Blows Your Mind? Well, you've seen the thumbnail, and what did it say? We're going to talk about this in particular because I didn't see nobody cover it. And I know there should have been people covering it because the individual that you seen kind of like in the intro there that showed that news clip, we will get into that. But the ideology that he holds and a lot of our brothers, again, who, you know, partake of that, everybody was mum's the word. And I just want to know what's the truthness of it. So what is today's show going to be about, Mr. Blows Your Mind? We hear you talking, but we ain't hearing nothing else. Today's show is going to be the quest of the American birthright. Let me say that one more again. Quest of the American birthright. Now, you know, there's some people who will fight those of us who say that our lineage is tied to this land. They associate that with somehow to do with these other folks, as if they themselves have not hijacked it and try to take it for themselves, and that they want to take us and put us on a landmass, that we have ancestors to go back, and everybody seems to use the origin of mankind or humankind to draw us back to a place as if, like, again, if we are everywherean as we are in touch as indigenous, some say black, some say more, right? Needy, all the above that we say, black Americans in particular, that somehow it's wrong for us to try to claim something that we have 10, 12, some have longer generations, and we don't really know how long we've been here, but we know there is a story that says what supposedly happened, but then when we start getting into and delving into our own families and the paperwork, we still haven't found, some of us, not all of us, have not found that one that brought us through the boat. And so when we say American, we, again, according to what has been written, we believe it applies to us, and those many of others will debate us and tell us that somehow that we have some kind of sickness. As last show, somebody said that Mr. Blows Your Mind was sick because I did not subscribe to something that yourself per se may know who you come from, but in my family, you cannot tell me what you do not know. And we have a lot of people, especially in this corner, what we call YouTube, the corner that the builders reject, is what I say, that will say that, we have a Stockholm syndrome to people. But in this show in particular, we're going to look at what happened here in Pennsylvania. We're going to look at that ideology, that those who partake of that, is there some truth to it? Where's the origin of it? And how does it apply to those people who may subscribe to, well, some say we Negro, some say Black, some will say African American, some say more, some say Needy, but we're going to do some tracing, and I'm going to show what some of the stuff I found. Now, again, this show is, again, a report show. Don't mean that everything that is going to be is part of those institutions who teach it. They may be in opposition to what I'm going to say, but I'm going to show some things, that some of the stuff that was talked about in this particular part and what happened to this individual that we're going to talk and start the show with. Did these tenets, and where do they come from? And are there some validity to it that people just deny? So again, stay tuned as we're going to get into this right here. Again, today's show is going to be about what? The quest for the American birthright. Now, when you talk about birthright, right, there's a particular story for those who read the Bible talking about Jacob and Esau, and that somebody has given over their birthright for a simple bowl of soup, right? And some people can take this story and we can apply it over here today. I'm not sitting here to tell you whether to believe in the Bible or not, but what I'm trying to say is there is a birthright that somebody is vibing for in this country. Now, is it, again, the tenet that may say that this is a nation of immigrants? Are they vibing to try to rewrite, as Malcolm said in the beginning of the intro, rewrite, retell history, revise history? And is it another one that somebody can give somebody a story that has been told to you, but then when you start looking at the evidence and trace it, as last show, a person sat there and told me that historical fact, but when I said come up in here so we can go ahead and lay it out, we did not get to that. But the invitation is always open for anybody who may hear me and feel the need to say, brother, you full of, I want to come in with this, a sugar honey iced tea, and come on in here, and we can go ahead and we can go back again, agree to disagree, to agree, or disagree to disagree. One of the three, or two, or four. But anyway, let's get into this. So again, we're going to get into this, right? Check this out now. Now let's look at this, right? Some of you may know and may have heard this story, may didn't hear about the story, but again, let's look at it like this. This brother came here, right? And you'll see that he said, this is my land. I'm a Moor. Pennsylvania man fatally shot in eviction showdown after hours-long gun battle with cops, reportedly believed he was a sovereign citizen. Let me say that one more again for those slow in the back. This is my land. I'm a Moor. Pennsylvania man fatally shot in eviction showdown after hour-long gun battle with cops, reportedly believed he was a sovereign citizen, right? So they'll sit there and they'll talk about this sovereign citizen that some of us, again, we're not part of temples and mosques, and we're not part of the secret inner workings of the knowledge that is being displayed. Some of us, we are laymen, or we are civilians. We are just, the regular lumpen proletariat of society. So we may not know all the particulars. So when we heard this in the way that we see that certain institutions and think tanks will say that a lot of that there is what they call conspiracy talk and theories, right? So we wonder that we have seen stories that have gone over. We heard the little sister, what was her name? Corin Gaines. She was a Moor. She was standing in her square, spitting her lit. And her lit ended up getting her from, again, a traffic stop that eventually brought to her home. And we all, those who remember seeing that, we've seen that. We have a story that we got with Wesley Snipes indulged into that, right? And we see what happened to Wesley Snipes with that. And then there was another brother, I think that was up in St. Louis, young brother that was working for FedEx. Cops was chasing him, got him in the back way. Come to find, shot him in his back. Then they said he had a gun on him, but he was of the, ideology and the teachings that come from, again, as you see him say, he's a Moor. So again, when these stories happen, is it to chide them off as they the lone wolf, the one that, again, to the tenets that they teach and they believe ran amok, ran awry, and then we're just going to let them be to the side? Or is there some truth to it, but based on what the system has deemed it, when you talk about sovereign citizen, which I'm going to relate for those who don't know nothing about it, is that to allow this individual that we're going to show, this individual right here, right? The individual seen is William Hardison. He was 63-year senior, right? He was senior. William Hardison Senior. He was 63 years old. There's one that you've seen in there clip that you've seen, and then you heard kind of like the story in the beginning. But what we're going to do is we're going to give it back a replay of that, but we're going to give you some more insight as to what was in that, and then we're going to move forward in this, and we're going to lay some things out for those who know what you know about more, that then there's some things you may not know when it comes to that, right? So hold on, let's go here, because again, what is a sovereign? Or sovereignty is the supremacy of authority or rule or exercised by a sovereign or sovereign state. It's kind of a royal rank, authority or power, complete independence and self-government, a territory existing as an independent state. Now, under the history that many of us have been told, that is the history of those of us who have the long lineage and historical lineage of this land, there's a story told that either you subscribe to or you've been in quest of trying to figure out what is the true truth. And based on them telling you that, you have to say, well, how does that apply to us? Well, there's some people who will say that we are Moors. There's some people who believe that everybody that's in here in this land are Moors. We have many different ideologies that many of our people subscribe to. There's the Hebrew Israelites. There's the Moors people. There's also the indigenous American Indians, right? So we have many different things that our people subscribe to the feelings of, again, some kind of birthright to this land. And if that be the case, which one is the truth? Which one takes us out of this? And which one is just really kind of like, well, they haven't updated their stuff. They have not made it so that, again, many of us don't really understand what it is. And does it, by those tenets, leave you here, or does it take you somewhere else? But you're going to have to stay tuned as we will get into that. So again, for those who don't know the story, here is what they played in the news clip. Sit back for a quick minute, listen to this. We shall be right back.
With the son of the suspect. Now, the suspect's name is William Hardison. He is 63 years old. His son is also named William Hardison. He is 40 years old. Now, the suspect's son is a truck driver. He's based in Georgia. We spoke with him while he was on a route. He was actually stopped in Ohio, and he spoke with us about the trauma that he and his family are going through in their efforts to try to reach out to their father about this whole incident. Let's play a little bit of what he had to say.
Hey, Dad, please surrender. Please give up. If you have children and grandchildren, I love you dearly. Please stand down.
What's he like as a person?
He's a great. He's a very stern individual. You know, he's a man's man. You know what I mean? But he stands on what he believes in, and when he believes in something, he's gonna fight tooth and nail about it. You know, but he's a great person outside of that. You know what I mean? So.
Based on what we were talking about earlier, does he believe that this house rightfully belongs to him?
Yes, very much so.
Why is that?
Because my uncle, you know, my uncle passed away. You know what I mean? And he, like I said, he only had a few more years left to pay on the house. You know what I mean? So why would they sell it to someone for $25,000 when hundreds of thousands of dollars have been put into that house? You know what I mean? They just redid the house. They just remodeled the house in the process of him passing away.
And behind me now we can hear the sound of some shots being fired in the distance. Maybe a flashbang to try to draw out Mr. Hardison. You heard his son there talk about the transaction, the sale of the house, and this is a very tangled family story. What happened was the house was owned by the suspect's brother. Now, he died last year, and when he died, the will turned the house over to the father of the suspect, William Hardison, and his brother. Now, the father then sold the house to a local real estate company, and they are the company that filed the eviction proceedings against William Hardison, the 63-year-old William Hardison, who is still barricaded inside the house. That process started earlier this year. William Hardison has been fighting this process and refusing to leave the house. According to the court records, he has been in the house now for 5 months without paying rent, and that is what led the authorities, a judge, to order the eviction to happen this morning at 10:30. Shortly after that is when the gunfire broke out. But as you heard from William Hardison's son, the senior William Hardison believed that he deserved the house, and there was some bad blood between the father and the brother who ended up taking over the house. And so there's, again, a very tangled family story. But right now what you have is a family down in Georgia who is concerned about Mr. Hardison here, as well as their own children and grandchildren who are very concerned watching this whole situation unfold. Back to you.
Paul, have they been able to speak with him at all?
No, they have tried. Now, just moments ago, I heard from Teresa Hardison, the daughter-in-law. She said her husband, who you heard during that interview, he has been speaking with one of the negotiators in this case. So they're trying to get him in contact with his father. They've been trying repeatedly throughout the day to reach out to him, but they have not been able to.
And we had also heard from some other sources, Paul, that this person, Mr. Hardison, who's holed up in the house, is a military veteran who just lost his brother. So that does sort of check out with what we've heard in the past, maybe hour or so, about the individual that police are trying to extricate from this building. We showed a picture of, I think it was Mr. Hardison's son and his daughter-in-law there. If you can, Paul, just kind of put into words what that family is going through right now, knowing that their father is at the center of this.
Well, they're very emotional about this. They're obviously very concerned about him. They acknowledge he's had some problems with the law in the past. He's never done any hard prison time. He's been mainly involved in some minor criminal activity. But their main concern now is that he get out safe and he surrender, and they've been trying to push him to surrender. And that's why they wanted to speak with me in order to try to get the word out to him that he needed to get out for the sake of his family with
So there you go. That is William Hardison Sr., the 63-year-old individual who was demised during this altercation about what you heard. So you heard in that clip, you heard his son pleading on the phone about you have children who love you. We as your family love you. This situation can be resolved. We can move forward. So we understand from the position of the son to the father. But the father is standing on the square about something that he believes in. Something that at 63 years old, some of us can relate to that. Some of us can't. Or just being in some kind of organizations, belief systems, and that it becomes the embodiment of you. And so what ends up happening is these things take a reality in your life. Others of us who may be window washers or watchers, right, watching the mannequin as we walk across the store, and we see and think that it look good on us, and some of us say we don't like that. So we have different perspectives of it. But for those who that's what they eat, that's what they believe in, that's what they guide their life in, he believed in something that he was willing to go all out on. Now, based on what they said in this story here, his father, well, the son said that he's a stern man. He's a man's man. Let me say that one more again. His son said he's a stern man. He's a man's man, right? So that means when he stand his square, he's going to stand on it. He's going on that. He's the type of individual as a man that other men will respect on what he does, right? So he's a man's man, right? And so actually he asked him, do he believe that that this house belonged to him? Right? Now he gives a little background of the story and said how his uncle just passed away. Right? Uncle passed away and left the house supposedly to his father. Right? And so they just remodeled the home. And it's kind of funny that when they went from the conversation of the son, you heard this, they did the Hollywood part. Did y'all catch that? Did anybody catch that, how they played the Hollywood part? When they went back from after the recording of him talking to the son, and then when they came back to him, you hear the gunfire as if everything is taking place in the background. Was that real? Or are they selling something? You get what I'm saying? Was they selling something? We don't know, but we're going to figure it out, right? So we hit a background shooting. So the reporter says, well, this is a tangled family story. Let me say that one more again. This is a tangled family story. We're like, okay, what do you mean by that? So accordingly, as you heard the reporter say, now again, that's the thing. He said, dead man can't speak. So based on what is nothing in writing, unless people in your family working directly, word for word, know exactly what all the plans, schematic, all that was to go down, they get to tell their narrative from their point of position, right? So we heard him say they sold the home for $25,000. Let me say that one more again. They say they didn't show no document. They didn't say, they just said that he sold it for $25,000. But you heard what the son said. The son said they just remodeled it. They put in all that money and only had so many payments left to own it. Did you not hear them say that? Right? You heard him say that. Okay? And so he said they had been going back and forth with court. He's been fighting this in court. And accordingly, he hasn't paid rent within the last 5 months. Now, wait a minute. What do you mean by rent? Do they mean mortgage payment? Or are they talking about as a tenant, right? With a lease. But, okay, this is what they were saying. Then you heard the other one that was sitting inside the studio say, well, he was an ex-military veteran, right? He's a veteran and he just lost his brother. So that leaves what? He could be dangerous and he's emotional because he lost his brother, right? But as I showed you on your screen, what they showed, they said, I'm a Moor. He's a Moor, right? But nowhere in that conversation did you hear them talk about anything about being a Moor. None about Simon Simpson. But the things that you're reading outside of that story has something to do with being, as they're saying, a sovereign citizen, right? So we're going to get into that. Okay, so let's look at this. So when you say land, you talking about, again, we as Black Americans, FBA, Indigenous, indigenous, Niji, Moor, Hebrew Israelites. There's many different facets that our people will be just like, well, if you say Africa has different tribes, well, it's kind of this way here in this United States, we have different tribes too. Even that you can say street organizations is a tribe in itself, right? But we're trying, after the Alabama thing, people try to drop the flag, and we seem to understand what unification and drop those things that come together for those who hip hooray that. And there were some people who was against that, right? And before I go any further, hey, what's good, Black Aboriginal knowledge or Aboriginal knowledge? And Mr. Spence 0620 in the house. I see y'all message. What's good to y'all, sirs? Glad to see y'all stop through. Now, when we talk about land, we're talking about like soil, the ground, the earth, right? You can till that land. You can build a nation with land, a country. You can put the people of a nation on land, the territorial possession or property, earth, nature, the rights, the interests, the agriculture, right? These are the things, when you got some land, these are the things that can do, that you can build, and you can be somewhat, as they say, sovereign citizen is to be independent. But the way this system rigged, can you ever really be independent? Even though you get that home you always wanted, and you pay that mortgage off, you own the house, but you do not own the ground. Let me say that one more again. You don't get that house you always wanted. You pay that mortgage off, get that satisfaction of mortgage, right? But somehow the game's still rigged enough that you don't own nothing but the house, but you don't own the ground. So it's almost kind of like, well, what's the point? What's the point to it, right? You still gonna pay twice a year for the taxes, ad valorem, if I think that's what they call it, right? So you never really can get true independence, even though you might do the right things. So when you say sovereignty, you're talking about supremacy, the authority or rule exercised by sovereign, a sovereign state, power to complete, right? Independence, self-government, rightful status, prerogative, community or political unit, okay? Then we say in citizen, you're talking about a person who is owing loyalty and to the entitlement by their birth, their naturalization of the protection of the state of the nation, a resident of a city or town, especially one entitled to what? Vote and enjoy the privilege there. They also say that a native, right? Maybe what is a denizen? You ever heard of the word denizen? D-E-N-I-Z-E-N, denizen of a particular place. What is a denizen? A foreigner who was granted rights of residence and sometimes of citizenship. Let me say that one more again. A denizen, a foreigner who was granted rights of residence and sometimes of citizenship. Are or can a people become stateless people, stateless person? Well, what's that, Mr. Blow Your Mind? Civilians who have been, they say, denationalized, whose country of origin cannot be determined, or who establish a right that the nationality claim dislocates civilians, displaced persons, right? Expels or refugees, okay? So there's different terms when you're talking about dealing with land and trying to be a sovereign. There's things that when you use this, you're trying to substantiate yourself, and those who are affiliate with you, whether it be families, organizations, and so forth, you're trying to do these things. And so when people give certain tenets of how they operate and what they say by being obedient to the lands and to the rules and the regulations when you play the game, and then if you play outside the game, are you still supposed to play within the rules of the game, or you do it the way you think you feel is necessary for yourself? So let's look at this. Let's look at this, because again, if you do some research, you'll see that this Moors, they say Moors, because again, remember they say, I am a Moor. I'm a Moor. So a more sovereign citizen movement Which they said this movement emerged in the 1990s. Now we know the more scientific is much older than 1990, but they said there was a movement. Now again, the reason why I want to say about this movement, because again, as I said, you have Hebrew Israelites as part of the tenets of some of our people who are, again, I am from the cut of the cloth of the historical people that we said down south. Right? Many of us come from those of, some say FBA, some say Black Americans, some say indigenous, some say DG, some say more. We, again, all of these terms are just like different little tribes that need to figure out how to get together, have different ideologies. And so this one particular tribe, they say they self to be Moors, we're going to look under the scope of that and ask yourself, because there's some things that I've seen, because again, I've been in this business for going on 12 years. You probably never heard of me because I'm the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. Can't get over 100 views. They even cutting it down under 100 now. That's how bad it's getting, right? But anyway, we're going to keep the show going. If you ain't never going to do again, we got a message here. We can always hit me on Sundays between the times of 5 and 7 when you ain't got nothing to do to come on over here. We got King Cooley, Sovereign, and Cutters? One can be, let's put that up on the screen for me there, sir. One can be a sovereign, one can be a citizen, but one can never be a sovereign citizen. I want to say that one more again. That was Mr. King Cooley spitting that lit. He says, one can be a sovereign, one can be a citizen, but one can never be a sovereign citizen. Okay. So you saying there's a flaw in that, right? You're saying that you cannot substantiate that in the rules of the game that they have subscribed to. So when you put yourself in that, they make you to be automatically what? Anti, right? They're making you anti the system, correct? So again, they, according to, if you do a little research, the Anti-Defamation League and so forth and stuff, they said that this movement came in the 1990s. Thanks for that comment you did there, sir. Right? So they say it was an outgrowth of the extremist anti-government ideology that once been the promise. They said it came from white supremacists. Now, ain't that something? That's once again when they say that, what they call Stockholm syndrome. Those they say that when we want to be consider ourselves to be Americans, that somehow whatever the white man do, his ice is cold, his grass is greener, and that we subscribe ourselves to that because we think that the white savior, Jesus, is in them and is going to help us to be saved. So they say that the sovereign citizen aspect comes from white supremacy. They say now for self-described Moors, now I don't know what they mean by self-described, because again, you have a lot of people that have in this corner who will call themselves Moors. And I always want to pose the question to those who call themselves Moors is everybody a Moor by just what? Because you come into the knowledge of being a Moor? Do you have to be of, like I say, those of us who come from the lineage of those who come from down south? Do you have to show the paperwork that tie you to the lineage of Moors? Or is every person who is a Moor an African? I mean, there's some questions that we need to pose when we talk about this thing, because we have people in here who does that. Right? And then when they see these stories, they get like that, everybody throw them under the bus like there was a lone wolf. But I'm going to show something that predates even that who they say is the one who gave them the game. And I'm going to show you where it came from prior before him, because he became their prophet. Not all of them, because there's some of them that don't even subscribe to the one that they come from, again, the organization that is established here going over 100 years. Some of them are just historical, using the reference, like the ideology, have put themselves in there, and then they get on and they talk about law and they tell you all these things, and every time there's something about being black. Well, guess what? I'm going to dispel something today. You know, a lot of people be talking about, oh, you call yourself black, it doesn't laws and all that. Okay, wait. All right, so a lot of people think that the black came in 1960. When I get done today, you're going to find out that black had been around since the 1800s. But just stay tuned. If you ain't never heard, you're going to hear today. I got a message. I got a couple messages here. Let me see what these messages right here. Let me see what I got here. King Cooley says this is a oxymoron. Sovereignty is nobility. Citizen is a subject of. Okay. Look at King Cooley in here spitting that lit once again. I'll give it one more time. It says it's an oxymoron. Sovereignty is nobility. Citizen is a subject of. So you can't just, right. Huh? They're two different things. They do not match. So that means that that's a flawed ideology from the get-go. For those that they got here out here doing that, you already put them under, I guess you say, on a hard place and a hard rock, and yet they don't know that, right? So I think sometimes when we have these platforms, and it seems to me that a lot of these organizations that's been around for some time, yes, being in your temples, being in your mosque, you and your, I can't say parishioners, but just say your constituents of it, know the lit. They know and understand, but we talking about the L7s out here, right? The patent terms, the regular lump and pro-chairs of society have no idea. So it's like, you know, how some of those, let's say, Jehovah's Witnesses go door to door. How come none of these organizations never go door to door in the communities of where we come from? Why they didn't go door to door to teach these tenements to get the people more acclimated and give them that knowledge? And today, now you see a lot of them that are here on this YouTube, they're doing it, but a lot of them are not really giving you the ins and outs. It's still kind of like one of an inclusive thing. It's like one of those things you got to get to be a part of to get the knowledge. Right, and I get that you don't give everything. I guess you don't give everything for free, right? Some things to be told, but not to be sold, right? But in this case, some of these things just need to be told, period. Because you know, there's people with a lot of different ideologies and who are getting hurt out here. And here's a 63-year-old man who was standing that ground. And matter of fact, if you've seen the video, I think I got the video. Y'all want to see the video that he did earlier, where he did a traffic stop? He did a traffic stop. I could pull that video, but maybe I'll wait for that, right? So anyway, let's go and get on to that. I got a lot to do in here on this, right? Because there's a lot to break down in this. So again, when they say a self-described Moor again is one who's self-describing himself. Do you need a lineage to be a Moor? Is it got anything to do with just being a melanated person, right? So I still haven't heard anybody really explain that one. Is it have anything that you have to prove to be? Because let's say, for instance, from my research and study of knowing of the history of Moors and how when you go from the Saracens and then they turn and come in and they go up there and they fight and they turn being part of that caliphate. Actually, in fact, they was the Arabs, they were the slaves that end up turning it and being working and going up in Spain. And then when they won up there, they end up taking over and they end up, you know, being what they call Iberian Peninsula, right? They ruling from up there, and then they be acclimated, and somehow in history they ruled from 711 to about 1498 or something like that, and that is the history almost of 800 years of them. Now, what I'm trying to say is those particular people who were set then, how does that pertain to us here? Now, again, those of us who are, you know, maybe novice in history, avid readers of history, might be historians. I have not found the true history yet of that here being here in the United States. And I know they said that some of the people helped some of them to navigate, come here, part of the Columbus story and so forth and everything else, right? So that it's there. But I got something that's going to substantiate some of that stuff that this sovereign citizen that he used in the conversations that they put in the news article that I'm going to show you, that he said and where this stuff come from, and that the question going to be, there may be some truth to this, but again, if you are POWs, we are POWs, do you really believe that other people are going to adhere, even though you play by the I's, dot, crossing T's in the game that you call law? But if that law told you that you could never be a part of it, how do you use that to play the game and equalize it? I'm just asking a question. I'm just asking a question, right? I'm going to ask that question. Somebody here may not hear me, right? So they say that these described Moors, they say supposed reason for their legal immunity traces back to a treaty with Morocco signed back in the 1700s, right? I think that's the Peace and Friendship Treaty, right? For those who know, right, that's that peace and treaty. But again, you got to know the forensic of history, not just taking a part of the history and trying to substantiate it and then make it blanket for everything. That's why you'll get caught out here in situations, because where's the thoroughness in the teaching? I'm not saying that there aren't any. I'm not saying that there aren't lone wolves. I'm just saying that we've seen stories time and time again, and then they left out there. So that means it's this individual here, this William Hardison Sr., life is in vain based on following some things. Matter of fact, y'all remember when Wesley Snipes got involved? Does anybody remember when Wesley Snipes? Y'all remember when Wesley Snipes got involved? Does anybody remember when Wesley Snipes did it? Did you know? Well, let me show you something. Let me break this down for you real quick. We're gonna get into all of this, man. Again, this is one subject tonight that's got so much to cover, because there's a lot of things inside of here that need to be looked at. There's a lot of things in here that need to be looked at. There is a lot of stuff. So back in about 2000, I think in 6, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think Wesley Snipes, was in a situation. In fact, let me give me one quick second here. Y'all give me one quick second here. Got a little technical difficulties on my end here. We're gonna get through it, right? We're gonna get through it, right? Matter of fact, they also had a white cat that was a Wesley Snipes, right? There was a white dude, that name was Chase Allen, but he didn't call himself a sovereign citizen. He was considered himself a what they call a state national, right? I think he called himself a state national. I got another comment here. Let me check this comment right quick. King Cooley said the law, length, angle, width, land, and water. Okay. King Cooley he's spitting that because he must be from there. So we're gonna use you, brother, as one that's gonna spit that sidebar for the show here, right? Now, let me ask you a question, King Cooley. That state national, is that a fact? So you got sovereign citizen, as you already said, is in itself is void, because you can't have two, right? So there's an oxymoron, as you put it. So what about this state national? Is there such thing? Can there be an American state national to reclaim your birthright? Because they talk about how whatever state that you're born in, even if you live in another country, as long as you have been here for 7 years, kind of like in the beginning when they said they're going to give, remember that what it said about those that was in Florida? They came up with that plan, 7 years, and they're going to pay to Iran. They said 7, right? And now we're talking about American state nationals, right? But anyway, so say if you get 7 years, you can have proof of it. You have to remove yourself from political status of the United citizen and citizens of the United States and move into your correct political status in order to act as an unincorporated living man or woman. I seen them showing you could pay $1,350 to get that package, right? So there's people out here who making money doing these packages. Now, what I'm asking you, King Cooley, is a state national legitimate? You can actually go on to I think it's a state secretary.gov. They got actually a certificate of non-citizen national state. So it must have some validity to it. But see, the problem is people are playing games that they think that other people are actually going to adhere to. They, so sometimes you can get taught some things that in the sense of it, they're going to play it. It's like color law. It's like the difference between positive law and natural law. Is there a difference, King Cooley, between positive law and natural law, right? Just like color law, right? There's a difference, right? And I think sometimes these teachings and things that our people got good intent, but in actuality, when it comes to practicality, and it works in, let's say, disciplines work. The ideologies of the tenets that they teach do have to make a man upright. But when it comes to freeing oneself from being a POW, does it work? That's the question. Does this stuff really work? Okay, so King Cooley says that yes, there are, I believe, through U.S., there are at least 5 different types of citizens in this place, its status. So it depends on their status, but yes, state citizens. Then he goes on, says state national different than a U.S. citizen. U.S. is the District of Columbia citizens and why we have zip codes. King Cooley also says that yes, color of law versus natural law or positive law, yes. Okay, so he's in agreement to the things that I'm saying. So that for those, again, I'm not in no tenant. None of this is all research, years of research. And again, being on YouTube for 12 years, I've seen a lot of people come in. I've seen a lot of teachers. I've seen a lot of people selling packages and corrective status, all that stuff. I've seen all of them do it all, right? And so now on a situation like this, I thought this would be a great opportunity to use what happened with this brother here to lay out for those who may be wrong in this. You know, I'm not part of that. I think that's those who are that's y'all job. But again, you can make them be the lone wolf. You can make them to be the crazy one. But that tenet comes from, again, splinter groups out of that. And isn't there some kind of responsibility to the parent, the father, or the mother who birthed? Because again, I know it's not like say it's your job to do that. But if they got places where they can hear that to help to correct them, maybe they wouldn't go all out and not knowing where these things came from. Because again, you see that the ADL says that what? That this stuff came from white supremacy using it. And somehow became part of what we're using, that they use for them again by this system being accordingly that for, again, we understand that free white person doesn't necessarily mean white as in skin, but that's the way we've been programmed, right? So we know that that Constitution is dealing with free white persons in this way of skin, but actually in what it's really saying is something entirely different, but that's not how they plan it, right? So that's that positive law. They plan it the way they construct it. So when you do natural law, it might be different. So that's what I'm saying. Are we fooling ourselves by trying to play natural law when you know it's positive law, and then when you try to go all out and use it, then when it don't work for you, right, that you end up, again, in the situation of this William Hardison and how he ended up losing his life because he believed in what he stood on was 100, and we see that maybe it wasn't, right? And so we're just going to leave him out there. His family done lost a grandfather, a son done lost a father, a wife done lost a husband, right? So isn't it our job for those of us who have platforms and stuff that we don't let his life go in vain like that? I'm not a Moor by no institution. Now, some may say I might be a Moor because, again, the tenets that they say believe that we have lineage because we are the people that is of this land. But again, like I said, we got tribes, we got different ideologies because of a lot of us believe in other things. So my thing is this. I don't want to put no salt on that brother's tail. He's gone now, right? And you see that they didn't really want to espouse on that. But they did in the, let's say, when they put it in the articles, then they went into, sovereign citizen and more. So they did it then, but they don't want it publicly known. So we have to say, is it right? So King Cooley says free white persons as in status such as white belt versus green belt in karate. Okay, so you saying, and that status would try to be like rank, right? Like in karate, I think those would be like ranked, higher rank. So it's not per se color as in skin, but that's the game that's been played, and they use that positive law and make it about skin, right? So a lot of times our people are playing the game and they think they're going to get the same outcome. In natural, it's supposed to, but in that positive law, you know, they interpret the way they want to interpret. And that's all I'm just saying. So let's look at some of the stuff here. Because again, I don't want to put no salt on this brother's tail, but he gave his life. And again, we done seen quite a few people do it. So when you're a sovereign citizen, according to, as King Cooley say, it's an oxymoron. And so you still have to adhere. See, that's the one thing they don't tell. You still got to adhere to the rules of the nation, even though you claim that, right? Like, let's say, for instance, right? If you get a corrective status, let me ask you a question, King Cooley. If I get corrective status Am I taking myself, let's say I am cut from the cloth of the lineage of the people historically that come from the South. Some, again, we say Black Americans, indigenous, indigenous, Niji Moore, right? That's been here for generations and generations, right? They say 1619, but those of us know that that's a fabricated story. That's not real. But anyway, so my question to you is, let's see. All right. Let me hold that. Let me hold this. Let me hold it. I'm gonna come back to that with you, King, because again, let's look at what happened to Wesley before I go there. Because again, Wesley tried it too. Wesley Snipes tried the same thing too. And guess what? Wesley almost got 16 years trying that. Right? Now again, I don't know what school of that ideology he was following. But they just did this article. This was actually earlier this year in February, when they talking about Wesley Snipes sovereign nationals and the death of Chase Allen. There was another individual that was a white dude that was a state national. Now, if you go on there, you'll find that there is a certificate of non-citizens nationality. Let me say that again. Certificate of non-citizen nationality. You can go to the Department of State. You can request for a certificate of non-citizen national status. Again, they say pursuant to the section laws of 341B of the Immigration and Nationality Act. Now, I said I was going to wait, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you, King Cooley. Does a person who do corrective status, and again, as I said, if I am of the cloth cut from the lineage, and we've been put in that non-status state, right? Well, being Black is out of status. Being African Americans and everything else puts us out of status, right? But if I do a corrective status, and go get myself the paperwork, the fingerprint, the green card, am I now an immigrant? Am I an immigrant now? So King Cooley said, you have a right to nationality on this country. Okay. What's your nationality? That is the question. Okay. What's my nationality? Again, being of the people of this country who've been put in a stateless, follow what I'm saying, in the stateless category, because we identify according to what they made us. But I'm here to show the lie in that the reason why we kept getting our name changed is because you're trying to hide something. But it's going to be in plain sight when I get done. You're going to see it. Then you have to ask yourself, well, maybe that's what it is. So the question I'm asking you, does putting somebody in corrective status put them as an immigrant? You have the right, you have permanent residency, right, to work and to reside, but can you be deported? Answer that question for me, sir. Can you answer that for me? If I get corrective status, right, or adjustment of status, I think they call it, right? And I get the paperwork, I go through the process, get the fingerprint, get the green card. Am I also to put myself somehow as an immigrant? That's my question. You take your time you need, right? So let me get into this Wesley Snipes business, right? So Wesley Snipes, okay, had tried this to get himself out of a situation. Okay. Now the thing is that Allen cat, the white cat, his parents said, no, y'all miscorrected. He was never a sovereign citizen. He was a state national. And as I told you, you can go on to travelstate.com and you'll see that this actually exists. They'll show you 341B of the Immigration and Nationality Act, the INA, 8 U.S. Supreme Court 1452B, right? So there's statutes and all that. So there's some validity to this, but I'm just saying, think about it. Who's going to adhere to that? You know, again, it's kind of like saying the Black Panthers. Was it really because the Black Panthers was a group that was non-defense to take care of their community, or by, I don't know whether they knew, and I'm not going to say they was dumbfounded or didn't know. Let's say if you make a flag, you make your own flag, you understand? Did you put yourself as to be another nation inside of nations? Kind of like, I guess, Family Guy one time, he did that, made his own damn quarantine, made his own nation. Remember they came to blow his ass up? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when you play this game, it's like, will they ever really adhere to that? Will they? You know what I'm saying? So King Cooley given, he said, it's what you know and whom you contact with, that's where the issues are. What do you sign to or sign up for? Make sure you know what you are signing. Okay, so the validity of your signature binds you to it in the contract, is what he's saying, right? So you're getting bound by the name of the contract. So, okay. Now, but you still didn't answer me as to being an immigrant. Do you take yourself out of, okay, again, let's say, even though we've been displaced as stateless people, if I go get a corrective status and then try to get a corrective, and based on it, yes, I become a, what they call that, permanent residence, right? I get the permanent resident status, but under that permanent resident status, and don't I supposed to still have another land that I'm allegiance to? And I'm supposed to still be elite. Okay, I'm going to be permanent to work and reside here. But if I should, by coincidence, being who we are, yes, you might be trying to obey the law, but you get in a situation and they get you in a situation that it falls under felony. Can I be deported off that? See, this is what we got to say. See, I'm the person who asks the real question. Ain't nobody going to ask you. I don't want to ask that. Can I be deported? But yet, I ain't never been nowhere. This has been the lineage of my family. So I'm asking, when you do that, are you still putting yourself possibly in jeopardy? Okay, King Cooley says, well, the United States and America, one exists on paper and deals in color of law. Now, that color of law, y'all, is when it's kind of like we got another book that deals with you that's really, we acting like we doing something, but really we just doing this because, again, we don't really give the game up, right? That's really what that is when you really break that down. So color law, and the other is in life, real, common law. Oh, that sounds great, brother. Oh, that sounds great. But I'm not going to say that sometimes people don't get no victories. But when we look at this in the law tenets that, again, when you look at NOI, when you look at the Moore Science Temple of America, they got 100 years in the game. And a lot of brothers, they spit that lit. They know that law. And again, we're not in them courtrooms. We don't see the wins and losses. We're not saying that those things that are not in there are not in there, but we're just saying, if you just, let's just take this. Let me ask you a question. Are Moors Africans? Just answer that one for me. Are Moors Africans? Are Moors Africans? The United States have been changed on paper many times. Under bankruptcy, so you have to claim your nationality. Stateless persons can't be citizens. Exactly, right? Stateless person can't be a citizen. But that is just, okay, based on, now, see, the thing is, you have a story that's been sold. There's a story about some people came on a boat and brought to this land. That story in itself is going to validate that stateless position because everybody's telling us that we came across on boats, right? Now, you have to put me in a stateless position based on the way that we've been here since the inception of 1789 and 90 when they made the Constitution, and the Constitution has validated that me and my peoples, right, could never be based on 1857 with what Dred Scott, correct? With Dred Scott being what it is, we could never be. So y'all saying the remedy is correct the status. But I asked you the question. If my people were to do corrective status, do they still fall in the possibility of being deported? Can they still be deported? And that's the part where I'm saying y'all have to be truthful about some of this. it sounds like it's the answer, but it's just really actually a capitulating. It's actually a way to capitulate. You know why? The people that's here, that they make stateless or make them out of law, because they the indigenous of the damn land. And so I have to take you and put you out of status, right? Until you capitulate. Because think about everybody in this nation is what? An immigrant, except they say 2 people in this land. And we know the other one is a false one too, right? They say Native Americans, which is a misnomer because there ain't no such thing as Native Americans. And then they say slave Africans. And why they keep throwing African on the slave? Why they keep throwing the African? Because of what happened with 1857 and what they said, correct? Right? Dred Scott, correct? Deported where? Exactly. But when you do corrective status, you have to give another place. You can't. Okay, you say you're going to be a I think it was. Is it a non-immigrant visa? I think that's right. Non-immigrant visa. So you're not an immigrant, but if you go read that game, it says if you should fall by some felonies based on the subscription that they give, if you fall outside of it, you could be deported. Now, why y'all not telling that part? So that means that you have to have another place that you send. So again, the reason why I'm saying that is because why? Most more subscribe to what? Morocco. Okay? Moroccan. Isn't Moroccan outside of the United States? Right? Moroccan is outside of the United States. So your allegiance, your mother country, the place you could be deported might be Morocco, if that should befall you, right? So King Cooley says, what I'm trying to say, 2 different countries running simultaneously, one on paper and the other is by we the people, private versus public, all with water. Okay, so you're talking about maritime law, right? So I'm hearing maritime law in there. We the people, private. Okay. So I guess that's kind of that tenet of that 27 to 39 that signed the Constitution. And okay, all right. Okay, all right. Let me do some of this other stuff because I know people sitting here like, what the hell is Mr. Blunt? What are you talking about? You and this King Cooley, what the hell? No, he's being the sidebar I need for this. I needed to have a brother in here like him because he knows this and he might be part of that, so he knows. Right? So he'd be the perfect person to ask this as I put this down. All right. So again, sovereign citizen has been labeled as anti-government. So all those you see that saying that, a lot of that's a day. So now I've heard some people change it to I think some of the verbiage now that I've heard is like what they saying now? Hold on 1 second. They saying stuff like self-governing citizen. Is that the new term now? Self-governing citizen. Is that new, King Cooley? Is that what is being said now? Self-governing, right? So self-governing. All right. So self-governing. Okay. So with that being said, let's look at what we'll come back because I don't want to get everybody getting lost on that. I'm just glad King Cooley is in here because this is somebody I can ever ask. I be wanting to ask Mug, but I don't be getting them come like this. And I'm glad you're here today. So I appreciate you being here, brother. And again, hold on, I got another message here. King Cooley said the 14th Amendment citizens versus the 4th Amendment citizens. All men are created equal. Then why the 14th Amendment citizen and who are these new citizens? Right. That whole process, to me, right? The whole 13, that whole process, they told you that there were states that said that they had reneged. They said they didn't want it, but they passed it anyway, right? Matter of fact, think about that. What's the one, the federal law, the original 13th Amendment, right? You know what the original 13th Amendment was, right? Not the one that we're talking about, the one before that, the one before they succeeded, the succession happened. Remember, the federal government they had voted to make themselves so that they could never abolish it. So federally, slavery still exists, right? Federally, slavery still exists. And so they left it up to the states. And that's why you see in the 13th Amendment talking about something, and except if you go to jail. That's that little clause, right? So federally, it can never be taken away because the Constitution validates it. And that's what everything when anybody talking about Constitution, they don't even understand. That's where it's at. The only thing that applies to us in there is, right? What it is, two things that fit in there, property, right? So, but anyway, so again, that's what I'm saying. You know, sometimes people get in stuff, and then once you get consumed in it and you see that's the remedy, that's what you're going to use, right? So there's nothing wrong with that as into knowledge, but the practicality and how it works and applies, and really does it do you, or did you just accept it and be obedient to it? Because see, people think that they're getting free out of it, and I'm saying anything this dude has always got a trick to it. So anyway, look at this thing here when you talk about Wesley Snipes, right? So Wesley Snipes went in there, and this is what happened with him, right? So let me go ahead and tell you a little bit there, because I've been on this probably a little bit too long, and I appreciate everybody that came up in here, right? So sovereigns, they say sovereign citizens believe that they are under the jurisdiction of the federal government and consider themselves exempt from the U.S. law, per the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, that's what they said. They said that sovereign citizen, which again, King Cooley has told you is an oxymoron. So anybody who's claiming that, right? So, but according to the Southern Poverty Law Center, they said that people who believe this they said they are not under the jurisdiction of the federal government and consider themselves exempt from U.S. laws per the Southern, right? They use varieties. They say conspiracy theory, right? My question is every conspiracy theory wrong? You know, just because you say the word conspiracy theory, does that make something not to be true? Or is that the programming? Anytime somebody throw that makes it automatic there, that's wrong. Never could be, there's no truth in it. So King Cooley also says emancipation is the transfer of ownership. Aha, there you go. Because remember I talked about land. As a matter of fact, let me ask you this, King Cooley. What was the name of that bureau? What was the name of the bureau they created, right? That bureau that they created has abandoned trust in it, does it not? Ask yourself, and some people who supposedly, according to that story, is enslaved, why would you need a trust, and what did they have abandoned? What was abandoned, and what was the trust? I get what you're saying, right? I'm tying all this into this. Just by you being here, that made me just turn it a whole different way. So those who sitting here and listening, again, my brothers, Mr. Spence and them in here. Now this ain't the way, but because we have this brother that's happened to be in here, he can answer a lot of this, so you can hear with your own ears, and it's not just me saying what I'm saying. But you said the Federal Reserve. Now, what about that? What about that bureau? What about the Freedmen Bureau, abandoned trust and abandoned? What was that about? So when you say what you just said, ownership and right transfer of ownership, is that what that was about? And then how could they? Did you ever ask yourself, how did the Freedmen have 37 banks? But when did they construct those banks? When did they construct them? If you're saying that the people you made the Confiscation Act in 1861, right? Made them become contraband, and then the word goes out that they can leave from those places, and if they can get to the Union, they could be acclimated, and then we're going to pay you for being in there, right? You get what I'm saying? They're going to pay you now. Okay, with that being said, so you confiscated what? There's some of our brothers and sisters who tell you that the Civil War wasn't the Civil War that you think in your mind. The Civil War may have something to do exactly about what you're saying about somebody's shit being taken, somebody's land, you understand? Abandoned, somebody came and squatted and said you weren't there, and then they took it. All right, so let me show you something. So let me get through this. Stay right there, bro. Stay right there, right? So again, they saying that the let's see. Now again, when they say Southern or when they say sovereign citizens, they make it conspiracy theories, falsehoods, right? They said their beliefs, their activities, they're illegal and violence. They're calling paper terrorists, right? Right? These are some of the things. And then they also say they're racist and Semitic. What's Semitic about it? Now, are they talking about that white version? You know, the skin, the white skin, you know, the construct game of race, right? They might be that. But again, how does that play into the ones that are melanated, right? So let's look at what Wesley Snipes did. Let me show you this, all right? So Wesley Snipes had identified himself as part of the sovereign citizen, they said, movement back then, okay? And, you know, we all know him from the works he did in the industry and stuff like that. And as he believed that he said that he believed Americans aren't obligated to pay income taxes, that the government taxes its citizens illegally. That was his, from learning from being a sovereign citizen, that's what his belief was. And he stood on that, right? That's what he did. Now, this is back in 2006 for those who didn't know nothing about it, okay? So he had an anti-tax advocate. His name was Eddie Ray Kahn. And then he had another former certified public accountant named Doug Roselle. And they were indicted on 8 counts of alleged tax frauds, conspiracy, and willful to fail to file returns. Following the indictment, Snipes sent a letter to the IRS declaring he was a non-resident alien. Give me what that is, Cooley. What is a non-resident alien? Because this is what Wesley Snipes called himself. So I got King Cooley say, yes, sir, 1800. Started with the 1790 census. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I got all this stuff. See, I'm gonna lay it out, but you already where I'm at. But I'm gonna put the cherry on the top on this one because I'm gonna uncover something that was right. You know, they say why eyes wide shut. Something might have been right in our damn face and we didn't see it. Again, what I said about the when we talk about that Freedman Bank and abandons, right, and trust, abandoned lands, right, and trust. How can some people who've been deemed slaves have a trust? Trust of what? What is the trust? Then they tell you there's 37 banks, and then they talk about all the money, and then they somehow the bank get bust. They lost all their money. It was set up by the federal government, but nobody backed it. We lost our money. They said a lot of the money was paying for railroads and stuff. Huh? Okay. All right. Most hated show on the black corner of YouTube. You didn't know, but ask somebody. Right? So let me put this up here for those, again, just in case you stopping by, hear some crazy shit. Subscribe, like, share. Right? And then we always, again, like I said, I'm gonna tell a lot of you brothers in here about y'all help. Y'all don't realize, but I might even have one of the greatest stories ever told. And it's gonna be because of what y'all did. When I tell you, you're gonna have a swell in your heart. You're gonna be like, damn, you're gonna be able to have this gonna be on your resume. You're gonna be able to say, I helped somebody and didn't know I was really helping them. That's what this is. That's what this is about. This ain't me begging. Even though, yeah, I've been doing this for 12 years, they won't let me make no money over here. Because what I will do, the topics that nobody will talk because they scared. Oh, my channel gonna get knocked and all that. I've been doing it. I still can't get 100 views, but I've been doing it for 12 years. You tell me what it is. But anyway, just in case you decide y'all want to do that part there. So let me go back. I got a comment over here, right? So King Cooley says that Wesley contractual ties to prove he was not sovereign and actually a 14th Amendment citizen. That's where he lost. Okay. Let's see. Now, according to what they say here, he's considered himself a non-resident alien of the United States. Kind of like the same thing when you go back to Dred Scott, and when they do the debatement, they said once that Dred Scott had answered, that's why I asked you, King Cooley, are Moors Africans? You didn't answer. I'm gonna wait before I say that. I'm gonna keep that 1857 in the Dred Scott. Is Moors Africans? Is they Africans, right? So accordingly, Wesley Snipes, right? Cost of a nine, that's what he believed in that. He believed in that, right? And so he had a person who was a tax person, a CPA, and they did that they did it, try to give him that, like you said, it didn't work. But he didn't get what he could have gotten, right? So he refuted. Now I said what he did is he sent that letter to the IRS. I think this is what they really got him with. When he sent that letter to the IRS, according to what they said, that he refuted his Social Security number. He warned the federal employees that continued prosecution could lead to professional consequences for them. So they taken that as a threat, right? Okay, so King Cooley comes back again. What law is it that they say we have to pay taxes? Also, what is HJR 192? Okay. And not all Moors, no. I heard somebody say all Moors are Africans. I asked somebody who said that all Moors are Africans, and I was wondering, I'm like, how's that possible? But he was very persistent. I was like, okay, that's what you said, brother, that's fine. And okay, so based on what you said, right? Now, when you go to 1857 and when you read about Dred Scott, you'll see that Dred Scott says that his parents were Africans. And they said, based on him acknowledging that his parents was Africans, based on what the Constitution and who it's for, free, right? Free white persons, right? Free people, right? It does not apply to Africans. So once you start see why they always throwing us in the African box, y'all. Just like the brother King Cooley just said, they said, not all Moors are Africans, right? So what makes it everybody who would be, let's say, Black American, FBA, and Tachi the Indigenous is African? Why do everybody put us in the African box? Why is that? Why do everybody do that? Okay? So the question is, where isn't Africa? Right? Again, I've heard somebody, King Cooley, to your question, I've heard people say that it's the melanin that makes the differentiation, that makes the people who would be, let's say, pale melanin, which is pale melanin, right? The white people, white-skinned people, the light-skinned people, right? They can't be African based on the exterior. And I say, well, damn, well, then everybody must not be the origin of man. Now, you know, they got all the Yakub theory, but I said, well, damn, if you got 2 feet, hand, legs, you can make babies with them. There got to be some compatibility there somewhere, right? And there's some people who are going to be angry when you say this, because you're saying white people are Africans too. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, well, you better explain the hell where they came from, right? And so with that being said, like King Cooley said, where isn't Africa? Now, the thing is, do you believe that Africa is the beginning of civilization? And there's a lot of people who believe that. And if I ask you, why do you believe that? Why is it that you believe that? What makes Africa because they said Lucy? Is it because you said, well, I see a lot of black people over there? Right? Or melanated people there. So it must be. Or is it because Egypt was over there? Is it because it got all the natural resources? What makes that supposed to be, which I'll say this, could there have been migrations there? Could the story really be from east to west or west to east? Or you can't think of that. It's only saying that what they told you, the only way you could get on this side of the water unless they brought you. Shit. Dr. J jumped from the free throw line. Jordan came and did a pump, did the same thing, right? Then they had to get, what was it, John Barry. He finally caught them one. Now they got the other one, that Max, whatever they I put it, right? He doing it, right? So niggas been jumping from the free throw line. Just like I said, up there in Hawaii. How they get up in Hawaii then? And nobody still want to answer that. But anyway, King Cooley come back with another one. If Africa is the motherland, then I ask, where is the fatherland? Right. Who birthed it, right? Okay, where it come out of? Okay, right. Good question. And that's what I'm saying. Why do everybody subscribe to the story that's been given to us instead of looking and saying, you know these people lie. You know they lie. And yet you still believe. And yet some of us, not all of us, it's the same thing as King Cooley said. Not everybody can find the African in their family. Because again, we're going to look at this. Okay? Look at what they show. Look at the numbers that they show. They don't match. They just don't match. You can't say that those are our records. That's their records. If you want to keep saying that, fine. But again, as I asked King Cooley, once you label yourself African, this is not to say that we hate Africans. That's not to say that because you're African, that we look at you lowly. We're talking about, same thing Cooley talking about when it comes to status and all that stuff, you automatically take yourself out of whatever they play in this game of law. That's why they keep attaching it to it. And then I want to pose a question to anybody in here. If you was African, how come they only took to the 20th century for them to finally put on the census African? If you had been African from the beginning, how come you didn't see African on the census going back? And if I ask you, you say, well, they said Negro, but if I tell you that Negro didn't come until the 20th century, then what did they call us? America is ancient. Hello? Hello. King Cooley says also, the ancient Asians, there's a place called the ancient hidden cities of Asia. Okay. All right. Okay. But what is the origin of humans? Everybody took the Darwin and ran with it. You subscribe to being a damn monkey, Homo sapiens sapien. You subscribe to all that. And then when you look at his graftation of that monkey, right? Check this out. When he does the graftation of the monkey, how come it don't go from the monkey grafted to the black man, then get the white man? Let me say that one more again. How is it that if the monkey does the evolutionary process, and when the monkey gets to start, why does the monkey go from the monkey to the white man? Unless you said that the monkey is the origin, I'll be a monkey's uncle. Right? I'll be a monkey's uncle then, right? Okay, so is that really what the hidden is? Because it should be, the graftation should be monkey, evolution, turn into black person, grafting down, right? No. They got monkey, graftation, you know, gorilla, whatever it is. Then he turned to that man. Okay, so then maybe that's not you they talking about. Maybe that's somebody else they talking about. You know what I'm saying? King Cooley says, when you watch the movie Roots, they show them more. And the Mandingo man tried it. He tried tea and united tea slaves in the ship earlier in the film. Okay, we said man tried tea, united tea. Fiddler and Kunta Kinte, he wasn't from Africa, he was from America. Oh, yeah, Fiddler, right? Lou Gossett Jr., right? He was Fiddler, right? Right. But you know you can't really use roots. You know why you can't use root? Because Alex Haley plagiarized that story, right? So he got it from a white man and plagiarized it and trying to make it to be his own. So Roots is just basically a TV series that came back on about 77 to 78. Blew a lot of our damn minds when we seen it because we never had an African story prior before then. And that's like your Gen X. When Gen X seen Roots, that was the first time that was being introduced because many of us ain't never heard that in our family. When you know how a lot of people say, well, you got Indian in our family. We heard we didn't have Indian in our family, but we never heard of no African in our family. And you would think that the first person would have African is we would have heard it ourselves. Now, I'm not telling you that they didn't bring no Africans here. Accordingly, if you go get the Almanac Special Edition, 1776 to 1976 Special Edition, they'll tell you that in 1850, they brought 250,000 Africans, and that's the only ones they ever brought in 1850. I'm not going to say that twice. I told you where to go look and find it. You know what the Almanac is? The Almanac is, right? Number facts, and right? Go look, go find it. You know what I'm saying? But I do all the, but anyway. So anyway, King Cooley got to say Fiddler, right? Kunta Kinte wasn't from Africa, he was from America. Tis is too. Yeah, he did. Okay, yeah, right. Okay, yeah. So you agree? Okay, so all right. So let's look at this again. I'm gonna jump because I'm all over everywhere because I'm glad you're in here, King Cooley. You was perfect for this, right? So he gave the warning to the IRS. He sent them a 600-page declaration, and he said there was no intent or ill intent of malice when he sent that. He didn't want to evade any lawful requirements to pay taxes, but he had been persistent that the government had no lawful authority to impose any kind of criminal sanctions. He declared that he had no taxable U.S. income, and so the IRS form of 1040 was absolutely the wrong form for him to file, okay? And that the taxes was held with stolen funds, right? He get into that, so you know how that went, right? So they were trying to put 16 years on Wesley Snipes, but they end up giving him only 3. Now the other ones, the accountant and the other ones, I think got more time, but he didn't get stuck. So you say he lost, but really to have 16 to get 3, I guess you could call that a win, right? I guess, and you see what happened. Wesley Snipes ain't really been back too much since then, right? King Cooley said, but think about that the white man family who was from Africa and was sold into slavery, the book was called The African. Exactly. Because now let's go back to that peace and treaty. Why did the Moors have treaties with the United States? Why? Because, you know, in the beginning, again, like I said, I've been on this channel for 12 years. I was in here even before then watching brothers doing what they was doing. And at that time, there was a lot about the corrective status, the semi-sovereignty packages, right? There was a whole lot of stuff that was going on. But a lot of them, some of them are still around and they don't know. I was around when you was doing all that stuff, but I ain't got, that ain't my business to sit there and say that. But, you know, I have eyes and I see. I'm not in the business to do that, right? But so what I'm saying is, okay, they always would sell at one time about the friendship and was it peace and friendship treaty? What was that really about? What was that really about? Was that just about them again having? Okay, let's put it this way. Everybody heard of the what they call that the Silk Road, right? That's what they was going through, right? We say the Mediterranean, the Iberian Peninsula, right? When they wanted to go to China, they used to go through there. And then when the Moors of the Maghreb controlled all that, they blocked it, and you had to go around, right? You had to go around to get to Cathay, which is China, right? You had to go around it. So as they going around, this is how supposedly Columbus is supposed to have find what's across the Atlantic that they was afraid of originally because they thought that it was the end of the earth and you fall off, right? Okay. So it's funny how these people telling us the only way we could have got over here unless they brought us, because then they believe that you couldn't go across that water. So that says if they couldn't do it, you couldn't do it. And so you regurgitate that shit too. You saying the same thing too. We couldn't have did it unless they brought. But you'll believe some people can trek across the Bering Straits and come all the way down and do all that for thousands of peoples, right? You could believe that, but you can't believe, okay, you didn't believe a man could jump on the free throw line until you seen Dr. J, and then you seen Michael Jordan do with a pump with it, right? So you know niggas can jump on the free throw line. What made you think niggas couldn't get in the boat? Because they did the same thing when they was from Australia, went into those islands and get up to Hawaii and look at all that. If you go look at your Google map and look at all that water, how the hell they get through all that damn water? So if you could do that, what makes you think you couldn't get to the Americas? And why when they say indigenous, only indigenous they give credit to the Aboriginals of the Australians? So that means nobody could have came here other than from what they tell you, the one story, which is the Native Americans, and what we come to find out, the Native American is really a political party. It's not really a people. Remember they always said the Know Nothing party that I did about a couple shows about? The Know Nothing party that formulated that end up becoming the Native Americans. Matter of fact, I can show you something that says that these people are British. That the Native American people are British people, identified as the British people. Okay, so let me show you something. Let's look at this. Okay, let's look at this, right? Go with this one first. Yeah, go with this one, right? Okay, let's go with that first, right? So Aboriginal, right? You see on your screen there, right? Right? You see that on your screen, right? So Aboriginals. Oh, take brother down there. Silk Road. Okay, yeah. Treaty of right. The Peace Treaty of Friendship in 1787. Now, okay, so Aboriginals. So we won't get to that because we're going to find out who are the Aboriginals and who is the people who's the people that they say these people are. What about these people here? Who's these people? Who's these people right here? Who is them people? Oh, move that out of the way for me, please, sir. Move that out of the way. Yeah, move that out of the way. We know we need that, but we got to show this, right? Right? Again, these ain't our words, these they words, right? A Native of America originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper color races found here by the Europeans. Okay. The Aboriginals. Okay. Or copper color races. Keep that in mind. Copper color races found here by the Europeans. Now they say apply to who? The descendants of the Europeans born in America. Okay. Now, keep that in mind. Now, we got to go back to that part there about that peace treaty. Okay. The peace treaty. Who is that? What is that? Just like my man King Cooley says, it's called this right here. Let me put it up on your screen. Got some technical difficulties over here, right? Right? Let me show it up on the screen there, right? Right? U.S. Morocco Peace and Friendship Treaty, right? They did an update on July 31st, 2012. Okay? That's what they did. They did an update. Now, that treaty in itself was Morocco acknowledging the United States, right? But it's really got some strings tied to it, right? Really got some strings tied to it, right? Because it's really about moving your product through them territories and you giving tributary to them, because that's the only way you was going to be able to go through there, right? Okay. So you done had the war with your mother country. You done beat your mother country. United States 13th colony become a nation. And the first one to recognize them, they say, is the Moroccan Empire. Okay. So they make this peace treaty. Okay. But really this peace treaty is more like, well, you bring your ships in this territory, you know what I'm saying? We won't let nothing happen to it. You get safe passage through here, right? As long as you pay this, you know, you pay this fine. We got $60,000, you know, at that time, that's a lot of damn money. And if anytime you don't do it, well, as you said about the white slave trades of Africa, this is where people get snatched white and brought into Africa. Right? Now, some people tell you that black means white. Right? Black, etymology, bleach, B-L-A-E-C, for pale. Pale means, right? So forth. So, okay. But then when you get here, they say black is absent of color and meaning black people. I mean, are they twisting your head? Or maybe they just tell you something that we just didn't really recognize what it was. Okay. We got a comment here. Hold on. King Koo said, look up the letter from George Washington to the Sultan of Morocco. I done already read. I know what you're talking about there, though, brother. I know exactly what you're talking about, right? We try to do our things over here. We try to do. Good call, though. You're right. Now, with that being said, now, the person that the MSTA come out of, right, the Moorish Science Temple of America, they subscribe to Noble Drew Ali being the prophet, correct? Right? Nobody would argue with that. In America, Noble Drew Ali would be the predecessor or the forerunner or the birther of MSTA, the Moorish Science Temple of America, correct? Now, if I can show you something that I can say, I know where Noble Drew Ali got it from. Let me ask you, King Cooley, where did he get it from? Do you know? Do you know where he got that from? Do you know where, again, Noble Drew Ali is born about what, 1888, 89, something like that, right? Okay. So where did Noble Drew Ali know about that? Where did he learn of that? Where did he see that? Now, you think 1889 here in the United States, I think he's from Carolina? I think they even got something they say where one of his parents is something, or maybe of the indigenous people or something, right? There's some things into his background, right? But we just say 1888 of this time in particular, right? So what did he know? Do you know? Does anybody know? Oh, let's see. Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. Oh, no, they didn't. They took it out of here? Hold on, y'all. I think somebody did some slickness in here. They took that part out. Oh, you thought? Oh, no. Yes, they did. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I'm going to show you where he got it. Where he learned of that. Where did he learn of that? All right, let's see. Hold on, y'all. 1 second. Because it looked like, yeah, somebody took that out of here, huh? Hold on. Let me go back and grab it. Hold on. Yeah, they took that out of there. Can you believe that? They tried to take that out of there. Wow. That go to show, hey, if y'all think them mugs ain't in the background when it comes to this thing here, you crazy. You think they don't. They do. They do. But because the way I got this set up, I can go back and I just went back and grabbed it again. It's funny how that was missing. Something that what I'm about to show you end up being missing. It's like, how did that be missing? How did that leave? How did that get out of here? Right? But let me show you where Noble Drew Ali would have gotten the idea of in 1888 about the Moors. Because see, they'll tell you that he, oh, let me see, hold on. I think King Cooley got a message. Let me see something. Hold on. He had a Hebrew Moor connection in New Jersey. Okay. He had a Hebrew. All right. Let me put that on the screen for us. Let's say, okay, that's what you say. He had that, right? It's possible. I can't say he didn't, but let's say, for instance, was you around and was you old enough in 2006 to know about the West East? Oh, I get you because you answered it, so you knew about it. So I can't use that, King Cooley. Okay, let's say, was you around to see the space shuttle when it blew up? Just give me a yes or no. Was you around for that? Was you around for the space shuttle blowing up? Right? So if you wasn't around, you heard of the story, right? You heard of it. So my thing I'm trying to say is sometimes something might have happened before you was either old enough to know that it existed and it wasn't too far ago that you learned of it. So let me show you something we're going to find out if you know. We're going to find out if you know about this. Let me take this down. I want you to see this. Let's see. Okay, brother sent me another message. He said, okay, you was. Okay. All right. Okay. So you were around. Okay. So what my point I'm trying to make here, brother, is this. Sometimes there's some things that happened before we could have not either been born or was too young. It happened, but we didn't have no cognizance or knowledge or conscious of it. And then later on, as we got a little older, we learned about it. We heard about it, and we might have been faster. It's like saying people who were not there to see Michael Jackson when he was little doing what he was doing in the Amazing People, but to see the videos today, to see a young kid, yeah, that cat was bad. But there are some people who were still alive, but weren't old enough to even recognize that Michael Jackson was doing that. And as they got older, they knew who he was. So I'm going to say the story I'm about to show you, or what I'm going to show you, I believe this is what Noble Drew Ali ended up getting his knowledge of this. And this is something that will be a primary. Matter of fact, this is going to be a primary. Okay. It tried to come back into our atmosphere and it blew up. Yeah. That's because they couldn't get out of that Van Halen belt. Remember they used to teach us the Van Halen belt can't get through there. And them motherfuckers gonna make us see the shit and blew up. Well, shit. If you've been around, you remember when O.J. Simpson was in that movie Capricorn 1, then they showed that they faked that damn back in 77. They showed it back then that it was a fake. So, you know what I'm saying? Then they gonna try to do it and had all the kids watching and it blew up. Blew a lot of kids' minds up when they seen that shit, but you know, they was there at that time. So, all right, so check this out. Let me go ahead and move on this. And again, for those of you new over here, never been over here, this is the most hated show, Black Corner of YouTube, been in the business for 12 years. All contributions, right? Whether you want to send a little bit of, you know, send $1 something or whatever you can do. It's always a great appreciated because you know they won't never let me make no money. And then other cuts you can do, you can also hit the subscribe, like, share, come back. We always on every Sunday between 5 and 7. You ain't got nothing else to do. Bring yourself on over here. We'll be talking about something, right? We ain't into all of the, you know, the back and forth. We find things that happen through the week. We'll lay it out, throw some history and all that good stuff. If you want to even come in here, I can throw the link in there. You can come in here, talk if you want to come. We do it all over here. So anyway, welcome to coming over here. Come back again, right? Now, let me show you, because I know somebody say, okay, you talking too damn much. Get to it. Okay, I had to re-put it back in here. Now, let me show you this, because this here is your primary. This is going to be your primary to substantiate what I'm saying. What predated that Moorish Temple with the noble Drew Ali, and where did he possibly get it? You said there's a story that he got some blood from some brothers that might have been Moorish or Hebrew brothers that had known. Okay, but that Hebrew brothers too, they might have known about this too. So why are you taking so damn long, Mr. Blows Your Mind? The suspense, right? The suspense is killing you, right? Yeah. Let me show you. You ready for this? Let me take that down so they can see this. Matter of fact, take that down. Take that down and then put that up there. All right, put that up there because that's right. Because you ain't get it from nowhere else. There's gonna be some new stuff for you to go tell them of. Right here. You ready? You ever heard of? And where'd it go? There you go. You ever heard of this? Have you ever heard of the More Sundry Act of 1790? Did you ever hear that? Have you ever heard of the Moors Act 1790? Sundry Act. Well, what is that, Mr. Blows Your Mind? Well, I don't mind if I do. Now check this out now. Check this out. Now they say sundry, right? The More Sundry Act of 1790, they said it was an advisory resolution, okay? They supposed to have made it a law. Let me make sure that it's supposed to be a law, right? It was passed by South Carolina House of Representatives, clarifying the status of free subjects of the Sultan of Morocco, okay? Mohammed bin Abdullah. The resolution offered the opinion that free citizens of Morocco were not subjects to laws governing the words they say, blacks and slaves. Let me say that one more again. What you say, Mr. Blow Your Mind? Wait a minute. Did you? Wait a minute, Mr. Blow Your Mind. No, you did not just say that. No, you did not just say that. Now you hear why them brothers be saying what they be saying. Because it go back to the More Sundry Act of 1790, where the 1790 became an advisory resolution. It was supposed to go through the full process. Why didn't they put it through the full process, y'all? What did it say? The status of free subjects of the Sultan of Morocco, Mohammed bin Abdullah. The resolution offered the opinion that free citizens of Morocco were not subject to laws governing blacks and slaves. Now you see why the Moors say they from Morocco? Now you see why they, hello? Hold on. I got some technical difficulty. You know they're trying to get me, right? Exactly. That goes back to the letter about the Moors. There you go. Right? Right? But you don't hear nobody talk about this. Nobody talk about this. Right? They don't tell you this part. They do not tell you this part. Damn, boy, this, I mean, it's going crazy over here. But anyway, right? Now check this out. Let me give a little bit more of the backdrop to this. Yeah, somebody over here, they over here doing some hoodoo on my shit over here. I'm sorry, they're doing some hoodoo over here. I mean, it really got it hoodooing up over here. Right? Yeah, it's all kind of, man. I mean, it is blinking. It is pausing. Hold on, man. Hold on. What's going on here, right? I mean, really? They over here. They got me straight froze up. Somebody do not want this going off, huh? Hold on, y'all. Just be patient. Be patient. Yeah, my whole stuff is unfroze. They try to knock me out, huh? Okay, it's all good. It's all good, right? Yeah, ain't that something? Yeah, it is. Hold on, y'all. Yes, I mean, it is. Wow. Wow. This is amazing. It's amazing. Huh? Ain't this something, y'all? I can't even tell you right now. Hold on. Just give me a minute. Yeah, they done, huh? They got it locked up. They got it locked up. Wow. Really? Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Wow. Wow. I can't believe this. Huh? Really? They got it locked up. They got my whole stuff locked up, y'all. Hold on one second. Let me try something else. They got it locked up. Huh? They got it locked up. Well, hold on. Let me give y'all this a little interlude. See if I can get this, because I don't. Yeah, they got it locked up. They got it locked up. It can't do nothing. Okay, well, let's get a quick interlude. Yeah, get it, Wow, they got it straight locked up, y'all. Oh, you can't show that either? Oh, you all up in my system, huh? That's crazy. They all up in my system, y'all. Well, all right, let me take interlude. Be right
you
back.
liberals who have lifted them up, Howard.
Paul, you conservatives make a mistake. You can't afford to strangle hope in people. Without hope, people become dangerous.
No, Howard, you liberals have let them invade our society. You give them jobs, political jobs.
Paul, you missed the point. It's only the smart ones we move up.
That makes it even worse.
No, we have to move them up. If we leave a smart one in the ghetto, he might develop into a leader against us. But if we raise him up into white society, we neutralize him. He feels compelled to try to act like us. He loses his identity and his racial anger, if he has any. He becomes alien to his brothers. They realize he sold them out and they grow to hate him. He becomes worthless to them and safe for us. No, thank you. In fact, in his love for the creature comforts, except for his color, he's become one of us.
It's you.
Hold on, y'all. I mean, my whole system is locked, because you ain't supposed to know this part of this 1790, because why? What did I just tell y'all? According to, this is where that literature comes from, when the Moors, when you hear them say they from Morocco, because they go back to that Sundry Act, where they only did partial and made it an advisory instead of making it become a law. Because why? It was supposed to exclude who? Blacks and slaves. So that's why a lot of them brothers who are Moors will tell you that they Moors or we Moors is because of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, and how in the 1790 century, again, this is a story about 4 individuals who somehow the Africans put them in the slave or slavery and put them on a white man's boat, and they were supposed to go somewhere else, but he ended up bringing them to South Carolina. And when they went through the whole thing, ended up getting themselves free. And then what ended up happening was they petitioned to the court, because the reason why they was able to do that is because why? Why, King Cooley? Why was they able to do in 1790 be able to petition the court? What happened in 1740? What happened in 1740, King Cooley? You know what happened in 1740, sir? What happened in 1740? Shit, they done took that out of, oh my God, boy, they in here, they working me, y'all, they working me. Wow, hold on, y'all, hold on, let me find it. How they remove that out of here? God damn. No, it got moved, okay. Now check this out. All right, so I ain't gonna be able to do it. This is what happened in 1740, the Negro Act of 1740. I mean, hold on, man. My whole shit is froze over here. All that is, how's that possible? How it? Wow. Hold on, man. This is ridiculous. Hold on. No, hold up. Let me do this. Let me take this all the way down. Let me reset. Let me reboot this whole thing. Hold on. What? That is crazy. That is really, really crazy. That had never happened before. But let's see. You know, first for everything, right? Been doing this for 12 years. You ain't never heard of me. They got me hidden. They got me on the most deadest of dead streets, right? Having a business. You know how you have some business that be on a dead ass little street that don't get no traffic. Nobody come by, and one day you just have, I never knew the store was over here. Oh, I like that. Oh, there's some nice stuff up in there. I'm gonna come back again. But they got in the dead ass part of the shit so you can't find it. That's who I am. I did a video back on April 1st, 2014 called Extinction of the White Race. I didn't say nothing about we won't kill them or nothing. I just said the demographic comment of what is happening to them right now. The demographics of them cannot substantiate. I called 10 years ago, called it out. They knew then when I said that. When think about it, look at my videos. Go for the last 4 or 5 years. I can't break 100 views. I used to get 300,000, 50,000, and can't get 100 now. You heard again. You take it or leave it alone. Now, I think I might have got it. I might have talked myself enough to get it back in here. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, right? But that 1790, right? We're gonna go back to 1790, but we're gonna do the 1740 because in 1740, check this out, right? 1740, right? It was the Negro Act, which was passed by the province of South Carolina on May 10th of 1740, right? Again, South Carolina. 50 years before 1790, they had fucked around and passed the Negro Act of 1740, right? And it was the colonial governor, William Bulls, right, when this time was in office, and this was a response to the Stonewall Rebellion, okay? This comprehensive act made it illegal for enslaved Africans, again, Africans, to move abroad, assemble in groups. You know, for those of us who've been around, who Gen X, remember they used to call it mob action. Too many of us on the corner, you got to disperse, right? Too many of us sitting together talking. It's like we conspiring up to something. Go all the way back to 1740 in South Carolina, right? So if Africans don't move abroad, assemble in groups, right? So what they did is they said owners were permitted to kill rebellious slaves if necessary. The act remained in effect until they said 1865. Everybody used 1865 as that everything stopped. The boulder just stopped. The boulder that came off the mountain when they got to 1865, it's over. Slavery's over. There ain't no more movement. You ever seen a boulder come off a damn mountain and stop, right, completely? Or does the momentum keep it going? And after all the force enrolled, then it stops. So if you say 1865 and you say, well, you've been enrolling since 1619, well, how far down will it roll before it's over? And then the thing is, emancipation was nothing but a what? Executive order, a wartime executive order, which means soon as that motherfucker came in behind them, why did they pardon all of them then? That's where your 48 acres went, because they pardoned them, right? Wondering, was that really what it was? Was it really a civil war? We're going to touch on that. Remember about abandon, trust, right? They just steal some shit. But anyway, stay tuned, right? All right, so anyway, 1740, they're going to have this legal law of South Carolina. Slave may be consent on his master, acquire and hold personal property. Ain't that something? They saying you can hold property. So our understanding of slavery can't be the same thing. See, you know, like you said about Roots, King Cooley, that story. See, we got a story in our mind, and then some of these movies that help us to facilitate the generalization of what happened. But it may not happen, but we believe it, so we regurgitate that as if that's the truth. But yet they say you can have property in 1740. You can have property in 1740. 1650, you still got, okay, 1619, the slave boat that's going over to Veracruz, Mexico, claiming to be the beginning of the slave trade. What happened after that? 20-odd Negroes that became indentured servants. Where the slave trade? So you tell me in 1654, you tell me that a man named John, no. What was his name? What's his name? Robert Johnson, right? Owned slaves and people and property. Petition said that the man that he had that didn't finish his indentured service, that took him to court, and they put permanent slavery on him. But that ain't the beginning of it. I still don't see no slave trade. 1661, you got a story that tell me 2 white men and a black man ran away. They gave the 2 white men more indentured servitude, and the black men, they made slavery. But that's a lie. You know why it's a lie? You know why it's a lie? You want to know why it's a lie? You want to know why? Do you want to know why? Because as King Cooley said, mother and father country, right? Mother and father country, right? Let me see if I can find that. Hold on. Because they've been, they've been in here doing all kind of underhanded shit. Okay, hold on, y'all. Hold on. All right. What's this, Cooley? What's this? Let me see the comments say here. Let me see what your comments say. The Negro Act was to place you in Africa as brought to America as a slave. There you go. That too. What is parta sequita ventrum? What is that, King Cooley? What is parta sequita ventrum? What is that? You know what that is? That's where you're gonna get your what they call our slavery here. That made it more unique than anywhere else. They called it what? What was the name of the slavery they called? The brand of slavery that they claim we had here. That's what parta sequita ventrum. That's the legal name of it. But what is it? What made when your mama birthed you, you became a slave because your mama was, you are what your mama birthed. The status of your mama determined you. Chattel slavery. Chattel. That's what parta sequita ventrum is, right? Chattel slavery, right? I got a message here. Okay. Perpetual, exactly, right? Right. That's again, mama. If all your mamas in them was under that status of what they could deem as slave, then you are slave based on that. So you wonder why when you have a baby, that little white lady come with that clipboard and make you sign before y'all get up out of there. Try to get up out of there without touching that clipboard. Is it still going today? Is it still going today? Maybe, maybe not. All right. Damn, it got me. Okay, hold on. I can't believe so that means they must have people who are watching. Okay, how about this, y'all? How about this? All right, so here's the mother country, right? Here's their mother country. Here's the case you need to understand how they establish that. It doesn't happen until 1677. Butt versus Penny. Okay? You go to Butt versus Penny, that's over there in their motherland, and this is the beginning of how they're going to do what? Set up and make that slave can be movable property, and now it can be perpetual. That's where it started in their law over there. Remember, this is a byproduct of the law that they brought from, they came from their motherland. So how can you have it before it was established over there? How can you have it over there if it ain't been established? I mean, how can you have it here if it wasn't established there first? So that's go to show you, did you have slavery here yet? So same as your mother is nobility turns, so are you. Right, right? On your mother. So maternal, right? Not paternal, but maternal. Matter of fact, when you do a lot of reading of history, especially when you talk about the Hebrew Israelites, when they went in the land of Canaan, who do they turn to make their children from? Who did they get rid of? And who did they impregnate to create those? You know, a lot of people don't act like they don't know that part. Who did they go into Canaan? Who did they keep, make the babies with, and who did they get rid of? And don't the Moors say Canaan? Oh, okay. But I've heard sometimes some people think the Moors go back to what they called them. The children. Who's the ones that was birthed from? They ran with their father, skate with their father, and made babies with their father. Who is them Moors? Moabites, right? And the Moabites, that was one that, right? They went in the cave with their daddy and said, well, since we're going to be by ourselves, the only man we got is our daddy, get them drunk, and then, right? They made babies from their dad. So the Moors come from that. I don't want to play it, man. Don't take this shit. I'm playing, man. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna have a little fun with it, right? All right. But the point I'm saying is 1677 is in the motherland, is what this is what it's setting up to do. So when they bring it here, they're gonna perpetuate. That's where they're gonna get the brand of slavery that they're gonna put on the people here. But it comes from this Butts versus Penny over there in England or Britain, whatever you want to call it, right? So that's where that's setting up from. Now, we got to go back to that 1790 sundry, because the 1740 was just setting up so that that the slave was allowed to be able to go to court and sue his master for wrongdoing. Hey, wait a minute. Ain't that kind of crazy that the slave could go to court to sue his master for wrongdoing, right? So that sets up, so when 1790 comes, right? Let's go back to 1790. 1790 is who? The sundry, right? The sundry case. Go back, put the sundry up there for me. There we go. Let's go back, put the sundry up there. Right? So when you get the sundry case of Moore Sundry Act of 1790, what you're getting is, hold on, put that up there, 79. Okay. Right, so here you go. 79. Okay, so here's the story. Let me go. So here's the petition by the sundry free Moors. On January 20, 1790, a petition was presented to the South Carolina House of Representatives from a group of 4 individuals who were subjects of the Moroccan Empire and residents of the state. Remember, I asked you earlier about state nationals, right? They desired that if they happened to commit any fault, let me rewind that. They desire that if they happen to commit any fault, amendable to be brought to the justice, that as subjects to a prince allied with the United States through the Moroccan-American Treaty of Friendship, they would be tried as citizens instead of under the Negro Act of 1740. Okay? Be tried as citizens instead of the Negro Act of 1740. Keep that in mind. 1740 is what they got us under, right? Free Moors, Francis Daniel Hammond and Samuel petitioned on behalf of themselves and their wives, Fatima, Flora, Sarah, and Clorinda. They explained how some years ago, while fighting in the defense of their country, they and their wives were captured and made prisoners of war by an African king. After this, a certain Captain Clark had them delivered to the promising they would be redeemed by the Moroccan ambassador residing in England and returned to their country. Instead, he transported them to South Carolina, sold them for slaves. Since then, by the greatest industry, they purchased freedom from their respective masters. They requested that as free-born subjects of a prince in alliance with the United States, that they should not be considered subjects to the state law that was then in force. Now, as the Negro law, if they be found guilty of any crime or misdemeanors, they will receive a fair trial by a lawful jury. That's why I ask you, King Cooley, if you should happen to do that permanent resident and get that status, but if you should do a crime, then they adjudicate you under that law, and they say they can deport you. That's just, food for thought. So they say now the matter was referred to a committee consisting of Justice John Frederick Grimmick and General Charles, looks like Coatworth, Pickney, and Edward Rutledge. Okay, and so this is what ended up happening. Now I want you to know this again. So Edward Rutledge reported to the committee on the petition on the same day, and the House agreed to the report, which read as follows. Now listen to this, y'all. They have considered the same in our opinion that no law of this state can in the Constitution or operations apply to them, and that persons who were subjects of the Emperor of Morocco, being free in this state, are not triable by the laws for the better ordering and governing of Negroes and other slaves. Because the report was not forwarded to the state Senate or concurrence, it did not have the full force of law, but served as an advisory opinion after the sense of the House. The report was later published in the Charleston City Gazette and the Charleston State Gazette on South Carolina. So now you see where that literature, where that words come out being Moroccan and why they use the Friendship, Peace, and Treaty. This is where it come from. Check. Am I right or am I wrong? Do you think this is where it come from? That's 1790. That's before Noble Drew Ali. That's probably before the person that knew a Drew Ali that might have been a Hebrew, right? So we have this on the record. Now look at the slickness of it. It said that free, right? So the free one that was deemed a Negro or a slave, you could not adjudicate them in your system. So listen to this, Cooley. So that means if you supposed to be that, and then when you go get your status correction and go reapply to them, and you go through that interview and you give them that fingerprint, and then they stamp the proof and give you a green card, you don't put yourself back in this shit. Right? Did you put yourself back in it? Right? But see, why didn't they make it full law in 1740? 1790. Because there's a possibility, again, as I asked King Cooley, is every Moor an African? He said no. So is every Moor a Moroccan? No. And remember in the article, it said that the brother Hardison was a self-proclaimed. So how do you prove you're a Moor? Is it just you claiming it because you know the history, because you know the law, or does it have anything to prove like they did with the Sundry Act, that you can prove that you are? Then maybe that could apply to you. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that could apply to you. Now, the question becomes, was everybody here a Negro? That's the other question we're going to get into. Was everybody a Negro? Well, let me show y'all something here. Let me show you something, right? Was everybody here a Negro? Let me show you this, right? Race and the census, the Negro controversy. Say that one more again, Mr. Blow Your Mind. Don't mind if I do. Race and the census, the Negro controversy. Okay. Now, I give you these things so that you can go look for yourself. It's not about yes, yes, yes. It's just, again, we are a report show. Find some things of interest, break it down, bring in the histories and so forth. It's not the word of God. It's just the words of my research and what I've come to, a summation of my understanding, always for interpretation of more information and correction and so forth, right? But let's look at this, what they said, because you remember, these ain't my words. I want you to understand, because a lot of people think they understand this, right? Now, some people will think that the word black started in the 1960s. People think we've been Negroes a long time. That's what you probably think, don't you? So let me show you what they said, not what I said, what they said. All right, so let's see. Can we get there? Let's see. Can we get there? Let's see. What we at? Sundry, there, tree, orange, grid, NAACP. I don't see that one. Where that at? Oh, I think that's in, hold on. Yeah, that's in, okay. Oh, 1 second, y'all got, let's take a quick little break and then we'll come right back to this here. All right, we'll come right back to this. We got something to break? We got anything to break with? Oh, yeah.
We ain't got no fences here at Camp 8. We don't need no fences. We got us the gun line.
Tell them about the gun line, boss.
This is the gun line. It runs from shack to shack, clear around the yard. You are now inside the gun line. You step outside the gun line without my permission, you will be shot. You trip and fall over the gun line, you will be shot. You spit, you pee, you so much as stick your Johnson out over the gun line, you will be shot. And you, Sled, don't try to run, don't try to escape. One of my trustees will put a bullet in your head. You prisoners are now the property of the state of Mississippi, which is to say I own your ass. And in case you haven't met this handsome young fella, this is Hoppin' Bob. You run afoul of Bob, you run afoul of me.
I had to do that because all right, let me do this. Hold on. Because I got to show you this because you know this is the only way you're gonna get this, right? Okay, let's see, where do I got that at? Hold on, y'all. I mean, they really this don't even make no damn sense. I got it though. So all right, so we're gonna talk about race and census, the Negro controversy, right? It's still freezing. What is going on over here? They over here, man, boy, they hit me up. Big time. Big time. Can you let me go, sir? Man, that's terrible. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you that, okay. Now, when they talk about racial identifications on census form, right? They said about in 2010, there was this, there began to be debates and some were asking about the word Negro along with Black and African American. Now, again, to most people, they all mean the same thing, right? But actually, these are different histories. They're not the same. Each one got its own history. It pertained to a different time to those people of that time. And so if somebody decides that they want to replace it or remove it, aren't you extricating a part of your people, your history? And if you was here about 2 shows ago, remember when I showed you that the senator that called, again, Black Americans, Tatas, Indigenous, Moors, Niji, all the above terms, and those of us historically that come from here, the United States, or Turtle-eyed, or whatever you want to call, right? Didn't he say that we were the indigenes? And they went all out their way to make him apologize for calling us indigenes, right? Remember, they made a big hoopla about that, right? So let me show you something there. Okay, I know some people say I gotta get out of here. That's good, that's fine. It'll be here on replay if you catch it. So the Americans choose their self-identification. The terms are outdated. So what they want to do psychologically is they want to get you to say, oh man, that's old. You ever notice that history, they don't touch, white folks don't touch antiquity. They only do modern and new. Anything antiquity won't be about them, right? So that's why they preach to us about what? It's about the children. I'm not saying that the children is not what we work hard to build so that they can inherit, but nobody else made the children before to make the adults. The adults got to do shit so that the children can inherit. They got us with children first, and that's why we ain't getting shit done, right? But that's just me saying it. You know, it don't have to be your philosophy. I'm just saying it, right? So we're saying that these racial terms, why they say racial terms? Terms has an expiration on it, don't it? It's like your name. Whatever your name was given to you at birth, it can expire when you decide that you want to change it. But technically, whatever your mother and father or your family named you, that is the name you have always answered to. And I guess you can't get at an age where you decide to change it if you so choose. So you have to ask the question, if you don't change the name and somebody else is changing the name, you have to ask the question, why you keep trying to change my name? What is you hiding? What you hiding? So they say these terms come in and out from decade to decade. They come out of date. No, they don't. The history is the history is the history is the history. You changing it is because maybe you want to divert the history. Maybe you want to change the history. Maybe that's what you want to do, right? So there was a debate on Negro. They said in the 2000 census. I don't remember. Did y'all remember? I don't remember nobody talking about no debate about no Negro, about changing Negro. I don't remember none of that, right? Then they talk about other race terms in previous census years. What other race terms? Okay, think about that. When they write, look at what they say and ask yourself the question. Now check this out. Now we're going to get into the specifics. So since you never knew, you're going to know now. I don't know what is going on over here. I mean, it's all kind of shit happening, right? God damn. So now, do you know before 1960s when the census takers, what they call the enumerators with the forms, they chose the category for each American they counted. They didn't let you choose. They looked at you with all their biases, hate, could have been, they could have had. And they looked at you and they put down what they thought you fit, which means leave for somebody can skew, right? And make somebody be something they're not. And so they used details. They said that they got instructions, just like a lot of people who know about the Plecker story and how they had instructions on how they were to identify and change those going back from 1924, so probably in the 1930 census and forward, right? Now, pay attention to what I'm going to say here, right? So they said 1960 was the transitional year. It was the year where the census taker chose the race for some Americans and others they allowed to have self-identified from a list of other categories. Now, wait a minute. How do you pick for some and let others choose for themselves? Why? Why can't everybody choose their own? Why you get to pick for me? Okay. So is that bias in that? So from 1970 to 1990, They said most Americans filled out their own forms, checked off a race category for themselves. In 2000, you got to choose more than one. Okay. Now, remember King Cooley, if you should still be in here, you talked about that 1790. Now, when you go back to the 1790 census, the racial categories that you have is free white person. Then you have free persons by color. And then you have slaves. Okay, let me say that one more again. Free white person, free person, and then by their color, and then slaves. So that means free white person. Does that really denote that a skin color white person? See? Does that mean a white skinned person only? And free person had a color bound to it. Okay? And it was just plain old slaves, as they say. All right. Now pay in mind, pay attention. We're going back. Do you know in 1850 through 1880, they had codes for the enumerators? Those codes will be W for white, B for black, M for mulatto. Let me say that one more again. In 1850 through 1880, they said that the enumerators had codes that they would put down when they identify who they would mark. W would be for white, B would be for black, M would be mulatto. Well, wait a minute. I thought you said that black started in the 1960s. Oh, back in 1880 to 1850, there was a term called black for black? Really? Now check this out. But also beginning in 1850, they had a label color. Color. Okay? So you got in 1850 to 1880, you got black, but you also have color. Color. Okay? 1870, you're going to get the Chinese, the C for Chinese. And then guess what, y'all? In 1870, you know what else also added? Indian. Now remember, this is what this article was saying here, right? So Indian don't come into play on the census until 1870. Okay. Suck on that for, well, chew on that for a minute, right? All right. Then 1890, you got Japanese, and then they started to come with these different terms, quadroom, octoroom, those kind of things, right? All right. I ask you a question. You heard African yet? Have you heard of African yet? This is in 1790, did you hear African? 1850 to 1880, have you heard African? No? Not yet? All right. 1900, there was no specific categories. The instructions call for enumerators to list W for white, B for black, but now they're implying that this black now is Negro or Negro descent. Wait. 1900 is the first time you're coming with Negro descent, but it's not really, it's not, no, they're saying they're meaning that's what this black is going to mean, Negro and Negro descent. Right? CH is going to be for Chinese, JP going to be for Japanese, IN for Indian. 1900, y'all. Still no African. No African yet. Okay? 1910. So, matter of fact, hold on. The first time Negro in lowercase was part of the instructions for the enumerators. 1900. Oh, so before 1900, there was no Negro term for us. Those of us who've been around longer than 1900, before 1900, there was no Negro yet for you or us. Was none. 1900, here they come with it. Okay? 1900, here they come. Okay? 1910, color or race is coming for the first time. So now what they finna do is they finna make a category to hide the color and make it a category and now say black. Black been around since 1850. But what did black mean? Do you think black meant you? Maybe. But it sure did say African. And yet they know they supposed to be bringing you, taking you from Africa. But they don't seem to know you African, even when they doing the so-called census. They not putting that. So what happened to Negro? If you was Negro from Spanish and said it was Negro from the beginning, then how come they ain't saying Negro when it was back in the 1790s, 1800s? You ain't no Negro yet. Why ain't no Negro? Not until 1900. Oh, okay. All right. All right. So again, 1910, you start getting the word color and race for the first time. They're going to allow the word MU for mulatto, right? Now they're going to say B was called black only. The definition for B and MU is, they said, black includes all persons who are evidently full-blooded Negroes. Wait. Now the B stands for full-blooded Negroes. Full blood, not half blood, full-blooded. Okay. So they say mulatto included all persons having some portions of perceptible traces of Negro blood. So if you got, like, you look like you got a little Negro in you, and you look mixed, we're gonna call you mulatto. Nothing to do with no real, substantial, tangible who your family is based on how you look. Okay? Check this out, y'all. Check this out. No one's going to do what I'm going to do. Yes, there. Let me talk all that stuff. They ain't gonna get in here and you're gonna go here. We're gonna take what they say. Not what I said, what they say, right? And check this out, right? So we still got some technical difficulties over here. They is doing everything. Really? Really? I can't believe that, man. Really? I can't believe it. This one is all in my system. In my system, man. Would you get out of my system so I can finish this up? It's already 2 hours and 37 minutes, right? 2:37 happening here, and I'm still being froze up because they don't want me getting this off. It is what it is, right? But what I'm trying to show here, right, is these terms that people be denoting, again, Black Americans, FBAs, Tasha Indigenous, Niji, Moore, those of us, the historical people, lineage that come from here in this, from the southeastern parts that we call down south, right? People will argue with us and try to tell us where we fit and who we are. But yet they know nothing of the history of these terms and when the times and dates and when they put it. So I'm here to tell you so that you can have some defense mechanism to let them motherfucker know, hey, wait a minute now. They ain't even call them out. Again, you said them motherfucker come from Africa, but yet they ain't got no African term nowhere, but yet they know you African. They worrying about saying Negro. And now trying to make Negro somehow apply to me that you came from the continent. Why don't you just say Africa? What was how I was saying that? Right? But I'm going to show you something that contradicts some of this stuff. But I'm still being froze up over here. What is the motherfucker? Hold on, man, motherfucker in my system. Huh? What the fuck going on here? This is crazy. I mean, you on something that I'm not even in this, and you in my shit over here. What is going on here? Right? This is crazy. Because you don't want this getting off. That's all right. All right. Damn. We're gonna give it a minute. But now check this out. So as we go forward from 1850, 1910, what I want to show you is, remember I showed you where it says that American was who? The copper color races, right? Let me put that on the screen, right? Right? And this one here, as you see on your screen, says what? They telling you the Native American is who? They say British, right? European, right? The Native American is European, not the Mongolian, not that other cat on the reservation. He claiming it now, right? Just like we talked about the Know Nothing Party, right? So we know that's a political party, and all those fitting under that is political. It has nothing to do really with biology. It was if you had ancestors that was on the beginning scheme of that, and they on the list, and you kin to them, and you can prove you kin to them, you in the group. Got nothing to do with biology. Can't take no test to be it. You gotta be blood in, blood out of those of the founders of that and families of that, right? So how legitimate is that, right? So they say copper color. Now again, look at what they said the census said. Now you said they was using the term black back in 1850 and 1880. So from 1790 to 1790 to 1840, what was you calling us then? Remember they said they had 3 categories: slave, free person of either color or white, or white free person. No African, no Indian, no black, none of that, right? But yet you say you know we African, you bring us up from Africa, yet you don't got it nowhere, and you could have used that term. So from 1790 to 1840, still no African. 1850 to 1880, guess what? You're using black. But I don't believe that black is really what you were using. I don't believe that's what you were using. I think black is a representation, because you know, when people argue with the black party, they say, you ain't no color, brother. You ain't no color. Well, maybe that's what the black representing, color. Huh? Maybe it means color. But now, they didn't use black. Because they made you think when you reading history going back at those times between 1850 and 1880, they saying Negro. But why would the article say that they was calling us black? Well, maybe it got something to do with this individual right here. Maybe this dude came in here to do his job. Y'all know who I'm talking about? Do you know that, let's see, can I find him? Did they kick him out of here? Shit, they might have tricked. Oh, no, it didn't. Okay. Let me show you something. You know this guy right here? You know who this guy is here? Obama signs bill eliminating Negro Oriental from federal law. Okay? So, is that what happened? Are you trying to imply that when Obama signed, oh, look at them, what are they doing, man? Hold on, man. What is going on here, man? They doing all kind of stuff. You sitting your, it's on, how? Huh? So this cat went in there tampering with our history. Why does it keep doing that? He's tampering with our history because those names denote a part of our history of a certain particular time. Now, when you change your name, you may be trying to empower your name. You might be trying to hide something. But when somebody else keeps changing your damn name, what are they trying to do? Right? So now you tell me, according to the article in 1850 to 1888, you called us black. Not Negro. Not Negro, but black. So people saying you call yourself black since 1960, according to this, no, we've been calling you black. So why did they call us black then? What land was black? Was there a black land? Wasn't no black land. So we had to say, why are you calling us black then? I think you're hiding. I think you're putting that there to say that, to get the people who don't know history and just taking it for what they read and they believe that. You didn't call us no damn black. You might have called us colored. How can you say that, Mr. Blows Your Minds? Well, let me show you something. Hold on. Got a message here. Leonard the Yuta, he complicit with the cover-up. He's complicit, right? Right. You know what I'm saying? See, he down with the scheme, right? He down with it. Man, let me take this off because this shit don't make no sense how this thing keep doing this, right? I don't understand why I keep doing this. Now, let me show you something. Let me show you how they even came up with this. Let me show you how they did this shit. Let me show you how they did it. You see this here? Here's the actual bill, right? You see that name on there? You see that Mean Grace? You should know who Mean Grace is, because that's the same one that got that COVID bill. Huh? That's that same one that put that COVID bill together so that they could get, because they said we was attacking them. Yet, motherfucker was down there shooting and killing them at that spa, and you used us for the look like stage ass shit that was in there allegedly. Let me say allegedly. Right? Stage shit, right? They used it to get the. So here's the same person. Look at what she's trying to get changed. Oriental. Oriental ain't even been on no damn census. Oriental might be in some books in history, right? But it ain't got nothing to do with status, none of that shit in here, right? Okay, so check the game out. So she puts in saying we need to remove Oriental, and he says, oh, this is a good opportunity for me to do what? Well, it was a good opportunity for him to do what, y'all? What do y'all see him just do? Oh, shit, what is going on here, man? Oh, God, man, I've never been this, I mean, they've never been this disorganized. All right, here you go, right? So he took the opportunity to go ahead and change it. But she put in for Oriental. Check what I'm saying. She put in to get Oriental changed. He said he's going to change Negro. Negro. Now, as I just showed you, Negro don't even come into the play till when? 1900. 1900. Negro ain't got no long-term history when it come to us. Why you want to cover the Negro? So that you can go back with the things again, like you sit here saying that it says black back in 1850 and 1880. So that it gives y'all the opportunity to go back and change that. But there's some things that we can prove, y'all, that what they were calling us at that time. What you talking about, Mr. Blows Your Mind? All right. You ever seen this? The NAACP, right in your face. National Advancement or Association of Advancement of who? Colored people. Colored people. You mean colored people like the copper colored people? Colored people. Why did they say the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People? Why? Why they call us that, y'all? Why they call us that? Why they call us that? Hold on, man. They've been in here tampering all my shit. Let me show you something here. Let me show you something. Look at these words here. Take that down. Take that down, please. Take that down. They're gonna get it again. Nah, they're not. We would like so. You know what I go through to do this shit. You would help me. Anyway, listen to what they said. And what is going on with this thing? New color caste system was a new abolition movement. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, pledged to promote equality of rights and eradicate caste of race prejudice among citizens of the United States to advance the interests of colored citizens to secure them impartial suffrage into, right? Now, at that particular time, when you say color, who all here? See, what you're talking about today, you can apply all these people, especially after 1960, right? So you wouldn't be saying everybody of color. There's only one people here. There's only one people here, right? Now there may be some nickel and dime of them, right? But you can write your shit in. But this other group that's been here, 4,481,830, right? 4,441,830 from 1865. That group has been still growing and thriving from 1865 up until 1940, 1950, when they get to, tens of millions now. So we're not worried about the ragtag group. What about this big group that we got, right? So look at this. So look at the undermine here, right? Colored people, colored citizens. Go back to 1790 when it was what? Free white persons, then free persons was a white or black, and then slave. Okay? Right? So did it change from white person to colored person? Right? Free white, free colored people. When you go look at the people that they were trying to send back to Liberia, they call them the free colored people. Right? They were the colored people. As the same thing as the American Webster tell you that the copper color race is people, right? Now look at what Du Bois says. Look what Du Bois says. At the second annual meeting on May 2nd, 1910, now we just did 1900. 1900, they was going to call you what? Negro. But listen to this. The committee adopted the formal name of the organization, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Du Bois recommend colored instead of Negro to signify the association interest in advancing the rights of all dark-skinned people. Colored. Now that, again, did he say that? Do we know that that's actually what he said of all dark-skinned people? What all dark-skinned people? If according to your story, there's only one people you brought here, according to you. So why aren't you saying African? Why are you saying Negro? Nobody wants to say African, right? But Du Bois said colored, like copper colored people, right? Right? Go back, look at it. I underline it so you can see what he said right there. Look at the colored instead of Negro, right? For the dark-skinned people. Now, here's something that came in the article back then. Look what it says. Also, a Negro man named Hamp, underline, or dark copper color. See that? Second one, also Negro man slave named Bob, copper color black, huh? Copper color black. So they were hiding in 1800 or 18 to say black. It didn't say black, it said colored. But they want to say black, but yet you say in 1960, the time we came into being black. But see, the article tried to throw it back and say, oh no, in 1888 through 80 to 1850, you were called black. Really? Why? Where'd you get black from? But yet no Africa? You don't say Negro to 1900? Really? Why not? Why not? Let me show you something here. Let me show you something. See that on your screen there? Look good. See in the highlighted area of the red there? Look at the far right of that in between there, and look at to the like in the column there, you're gonna see B for race, and then gonna say to the far right, Indian.
But I thought they said they ain't put the Indian until like what? Let's say 1870. I thought they put that into 1870. If you look real good, you see that that person was born in 1815, and they are 87 years old. So that means that this person was going back. If you count them going back, they still was going to be Indian, and it was in the 1700s. Yeah, I got a message here. Leonard DeYuta says facts, right? Right? It's on there, right? But so when you keep changing somebody's name, you're trying to hide something. Yeah, you hiding something. So is they hiding something? Is it right in our face? The National Advancement Association of Colored People. So today with diversity, you think colored people mean, and then people coming in, we're brown, we're yellow, we're red. We're talking about before you. Before you. Now you done changed your color in, swapped it for white. But you still want to get benefits in the color section. When the color association was made for who in the beginning? And how come they just didn't update it and say African? This ain't no African. Where the African at, y'all? This ain't nobody hating no African, y'all. Ain't got nothing to do with hate no damn African. Ain't got nothing to do with that. There's just something there that we just gotta look at, right? Just like when you go back and you look at the damn Freedman Saving Trust Company, and then they gonna throw African. See, they try to throw the African. Now, again, remember in 1857, Dred Scott loses his case in debatement because he acknowledged that his parents was Africans. Because African got no standing in here. Why so many reclassifications? The hijack is real. Leonard DeYuta. Exactly. If somebody keeps changing your name, they must try to hide something. If you keep changing your name, you changing your identity, which changing the people who you related to, changing to who the people who know you. And we're not the ones doing it. But you see how they sold in the beginning of that article by saying there was a debate. There was never no debate. What debate? Debate don't mean you get to change it. And then you say, well, some people are picking Negroes, some people are picking Black, some people are doing African American, because why? Some of the people were some different eras and different generations. There's some of us who, when we were born, they got Negro on the thing, on the birth certificate. You got some people who were born, they got Black, right? You got some that can go back, they got colored. So they wanted to say we need legislation to go back so we can redact it all. So that way it's hiding something. And that's the question, just like you said, Leonard DeYuta, why you keep reclassifying my name? Why name keep changing? If my name is Mr. Blows Your Mind, it's Mr. Blows Your Mind today, Mr. Blows Your Mind 10 years from now, Mr. Blows Your Mind 100 years from now. Now, are there some people who will go and change their name because they believe that their name is a slave name? Which I don't understand how you get that when your mom and daddy named you. And then again, I guess you said the names that they name you are these people, but we don't know, again, if we are the origins and we are the beginning. I believe even the names that they even use, that ain't even their names, some of our names. For all I know, and this is just me saying, Hebrew or the original language could just be English, but they just said this is something else. Think about it. It's the master, everybody speaking around the world, right? The trade language, right? But other people from other places have the hardest time speaking it. But boy, we as the people here, we the one make the damn, we make the motherfucking, we can shorten it up. You know, we can take the word, shorten it up. We can mumble it. We can rhyme it. We can make names of it. I mean, for a language that's really not, you say not our original language, we can do more with it, what they say, Black vernacular, than anybody that the people who claim that originated with them. We don't want to make the terms of slang and everything else, right? But it's not our language, they say. But everybody that speak other language, this is the hardest damn language for them to speak. Now some people say, oh, it's a broken language. Okay, whatever. It could be, could not be. Anyway, okay. Right? So anyway, so that's what I'm saying. When they said Freeman Saving Trust Company, again, the question is, what did we have that was being a damn trust? When did you ask yourself, when they make them banks? It's 37 banks. Who built them? When did they build them? If you say niggas was in damn slaves from 1800 and 1861, you're doing all this and having a civil war, how about the time the end of the war in 3-4 years, niggas is going to put their money in the bank and all these places? Or then we already had this shit already. And the abandoned lands is, again, some people tell you that the fight that was happening was us fighting. And then when they came, because we went over here to go help brothers and sisters, the lands was empty. So they hijacked it and did what they call squatting and that shit. And then, how about this one? You know, when they said they brought them in Virginia 1619 and then it went defunct by 1624. And who was they bringing in here? Remember, I done showed you through the census. You see all the millions of white folks that's coming here. We know about the treaties of the Moors, and the Moors was taking their people and making them have to pay, and they had to send all the people when they brought them here, right? Where did they take them to? So you got all these people who they say they bring in from Europe, right? That's what they tell us. That's the story they tell us, right? But what about all the people that they released from them? The Moors had over there in Africa that was taking them Christians. Matter of fact, I think they even took Ben Franklin ass. If you go look, you'll find, see Ben Franklin ass got took, right? So with that being said, the numbers of more of them coming here match to them than it does for you talking about you bringing us. So maybe it was already settled in motherfucker just confiscated. So when you had them in 1624 Virginia, you ain't checking the shit they bringing in. You know, like in the hood, you find boxes and crates of guns. They bringing in the guns, you know nothing, and the next you know, these niggas is coming up and these niggas got guns. You ain't got guns. Then they tell you 1808 they can't do no international trade. So they can only do domestic. So they're shipping the older ones and taking them away and keeping the babies. Matter of fact, when they said they found that burial ground in New York, remember the story I did the show before? They said it was 15,000. They said a lot of them was between the ages of 12 and under. All children? Really? So, you know what I'm saying? Separated, taking them, reprogramming them, get rid of the olders, just like we're about to get prepared for again. They're coming to wipe older ones out again, y'all. Coming to wipe them again. You need to get rid of us. All right. Pay no attention to me. Pay no attention to me. All right. So trust, when you got to trust, that's somebody being a fiduciary, right? Assets over your assets. What assets could the Freedmans have? What assets they got? Took all your assets. Abandoned lands. Remember, they gave a pardon to those that they claimed that fought the country. They gave them a pardon, let them come back and recapture. Then said, put you under a contract and go back and work for them. Contract? You better go back, fine-tooth comb this history, and understand shit may not be what you think it is. And I got another message here. Let me see what I got in here. Letter to you to 100. Thank you so much, brother. All right. So again, you better go back and check that damn history. Right? Let me show you something before I get up out of here. You see this here on your screen? Let me get Leonard out the way. See that? See that there? Nobody in the world got as many as this place here. You see that number? Why are they bringing all them up in here for? See them numbers? 50 million. 50 million. 50 million. Look at this. Look how many immigrated from those out of this country. Look how many coming in. Germany, Saudi Arabia, Russia, UK, right? All them, Why are they getting all them people coming up in them countries for? Immigrating up in them countries for? And then look at how many of them is immigrating out of it. Where are they going? And is this about this? Is this about this? Is this about this, y'all? Is this about this? Is it about this? Thank you, sir, Mr. Spence. Is that what this about, y'all? Is that what this about? Is that what this about? The dumb motherfuckers in the background, betting, putting this shit together with a bet that they could do this shit. Swapping. You go out of your country, they go in, get it for cheap. Then, when they build it up, you can't come back live. So where they all gonna live at? Where they all gonna be piled up in? Where they gonna all be piled up where? In here? How that gonna work? So, how that gonna work? Hold on. Let me see if they did. I'm ended on this. Hold on. Boy, this thing barely working. They got this motherfucker on straight bone. Hold on. Come on. Come on. Where it's at? Come on. God damn. This motherfucker slow as hell. Slow. It ain't even in here no more, huh? Damn, I ain't got it in here, huh? I don't think I got it in here. All right, so I don't got it in there. Something I was going to show y'all. Something again what Carlson Tucker and them said, right? Carlson Tucker and Donald Trump said, right? Because they going to, again, go look, you'll see that, I think like in Mexico, they complaining that so many of them is coming in there taking over. Well, I guess so. You leaving there, they go in, they buy up, they buy all that cheap shit. Now how do you do regentification in our areas? They doing regentification in countries. You all coming here for the dream. Look at all them young ones coming over here. Look at how crime going up. Doing all kind of shit. Shit we never did. We didn't do no drag racing. Shit they doing in the motherfucking streets. We don't do none shit. Motherfucking bum rushing whole store. You see how these stores closing? They can't deal with this shit. So, okay, you coming in, they going out, and they gonna leave our ass to deal with this shit. Because we got nowhere to go. Well, you tell me what y'all think.
We ain't got no fences here, Camp 8. We don't need no fences. We got us the gun line.
Tell them about the gun line, boss.
This is the gun line. It runs from shack to shack, clear around the yard. You are now inside the gun line. You step outside the gun line without my permission, you will be shot. You trip and fall over the gun line, you will be shot. You spit, you pee, you so much as stick your Johnson out over the gun line, you will be shot. And you, Slick, don't try to run, don't try to escape. One of my trustees will put a bullet in your head. You prisoners are now the property of the state of Mississippi, which is to say I own your ass. And in case you haven't met this handsome young fella, this is Hoppin' Bob. You run afoul of Bob, You run afoul of me.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.